backwoods.
Born in the backwoods.
Raised by a bear.
Raised by a bear.
Got cast iron nuts.
Got cast iron nuts.
And 2 coats of hair.
And 2 coats of hair.
Got a stainless steel dick.
Got a stainless steel dick.
Yeah, it's a mean prick.
Yeah, it's mean prick.
I'm a mean motherfucker.
I'm a mean motherfucker.
Who don't take no shit.
I don't take no shit.
But even some of like our peer support coaches, in the recent like last month or so, I've worked with them and gone over some of the stuff that they're dealing with, and they're even finding places where it's like, oh, I didn't know I could connect this. Like one guy got med boarded for a medical thing that was due to the military and never got connected. He didn't even know he could get connected, but it wasn't like a med board. Sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, I'm like,
it was
what?
They
That's
just
horrible.
they just like honorably discharged him
Mm-hmm.
as soon as they found out like he had this condition that he didn't have when he went in.
Right.
And like it's not like he like actively tried to like have this issue. Just one day they did a blood test and they're like, okay, here's your honorable discharge and see ya.
Why don't you just
and didn't get connected. Didn't get connected.
Wow.
And it's one of those things where it's like, if you look at the science or the data on that condition, like there's a high chance, like an 80-90% chance that it was due to his service. Like
a burn pit or you know what I mean?
Just more being around other people in closed confined like spaces. So
Wow.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
That sucks. It sucks even more that they would just kind of be like, hey, so, I mean, you're good to leave. Like, have a great day, man. If you need anything, just let us know. And like,
yeah, anyways,
bye.
so what do you have plans for now that you don't have a job, and now that we just kicked you out, and like, good luck putting back together your life and enjoy the condition.
Yeah,
like,
God. Dude, that's dirty. I can only imagine how much that would suck. And in not knowing either.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know that you got screwed after.
Yeah. It took over a decade to realize, like, oh.
Wow.
They made me suck dick.
Was there like a timeline issue that he ran into with any of that?
What do you mean by timeline?
Like, you only have so much time to such and such apply for
the connection
benefit. Yeah.
Oh, no. You can connect anything. Like, I was talking to a guy who got out in 84. He can connect his VA-related stuff.
I mean, did he specifically have any issues like, oh, well, if you had told us a year after you'd gotten out, then we could say such and such is connected, but since you waited kind of thing? That's what I was wondering.
Well, like, so the way that works, from my understanding, like, unless there was a direct, like, negligence that's done on the behalf of the Army or like the VA when it comes to like a connection or like whatever, if you don't file the claim, then they're not like gonna back pay you or like give you some sort of benefits. And then like since they gave him an honorable discharge, and he probably should have been med boarded, right? Because like why are you like, you'd have to file, like, a change of discharge, and the little bit I've looked into that is, 1, it's complicated. 2, you have to get a lot of evidence. 3, the guys that do it, it takes, like, 5 years, and usually you end up having to get a lawyer.
What do you think's the hardest part of that for a lot of those guys?
You know, it's like putting the time in. I mean, that's like any VA disability claim or any benefit that you go for with with the VA. Like at the VA, the benefits, the health, the burial, you know, those 3 branches fall underneath the VA. Like all of that is a part of a veteran's contract when they leave the military. Like that's the other half of your contract. And when you leave, the funny thing is, you know, you put in all this effort to try and get in. You had to qualify. You had to volunteer. And now you're getting out, and they're like, well, now you got to volunteer to, like, get these benefits that we said we had for you. But, like, no, you got to volunteer for it. So it's, you know, I always tell guys, like, where'd you lose the drive? Like you had the drive to go in. Like, if you went in combat arms or wanted to go serve and deploy, like,
finish it out,
you had the drive to fight, to kill. And then now you're like, oh, I'm broken, so I don't give a shit about, the other half of this
Right.
getting fixed. Like, I don't care about, taking care of my family. Like, but people don't understand it. It's stigmatized. And I think that's really the disconnect is it takes time, it takes effort, it's confusing, and at the end of the day, it's stigmatized. Like, I got honorable discharge. That's good enough, right?
Right.
Like,
Do you think that's what it keeps a lot of guys from wanting to follow through with going to the VA?
Yeah, I think it's also. I think the final thing is they don't realize, like, what their benefits mean to them, right? Like it's a 10% VA disability for my ankle. So like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't. Like, why put in the effort? Like, okay, money. That's like $100 and some a month. It's like, that's like nothing.
I don't
It's
need
like
that.
that's like $1,400 a year, man.
Yeah.
But also a 10% does more than that. Like, you can get that injury checked out. It's insured. I mean, at 0%, it's insured. But like at 10%, not only are you getting the injury checked out, you're getting a little bit of the BAA, well, the disability pay. You also qualify for like other things. For example, like in Colorado and I think most states, if you have a 10% disability, like if you go to what is the name of the office I'm spacing? Like the unemployment office or like the
VSO
hiring
or
no,
DVOP?
DVOP. Yeah, so if you go to DVOP, like
Disabled Veteran Outreach Program
Yeah.
Specialist?
uh
Something like
yeah. So at like the 10%, and it's not directly to the DVOP. You got to go to, I think it's like AA something here,
Right.
but like you go into the employment hiring office, whatever that's called, and you fill out their form. It asks if you're, 10% or more disabled. If you are, then you go to the DVOP, and then they got these programs for you that, through state funding, you get priority, and you can get the certification or whatever, the training, the apprenticeship, to like get a job and get
Yep.
employment. So like, there's a lot more to it. Also, 10%'s kind of the minimum for VRNE, voc rehab, which is
God.
similar.
That's the one thing I would recommend to anybody to look into, especially if you're a veteran. Like, you don't use all your GI Bill.
No, don't
Use it all
I
before
mean-
you call out.
I'd say use VRNE first. Like if you have a 10%, you should be looking at VRNE right now. Voc rehab, whatever it's called now, it went through and renaming. If you have 40%, you should definitely be looking at voc rehab, and it's not just going to college. It's apprenticeships, it's training. Like they'll help you start your own business. If you know how to write things out, if you apply yourself, if you look at the verbiage they need, like everything's about like articulation and knowing the system and the process, and veteran benefits, the VA disability, voc rehab, any program is all the same.
What about federal jobs and
Yep,
the benefits
So-
of
So federal jobs,
applying for those?
you get a 10-point increase at a 10% disabled veteran.
what do those points
Um,
regard?
So this is my understanding from my wife getting hired at the USDA.
Is she a veteran as well?
She is not, but
So it
I've-
helps spouses?
yes, it does help spouses, and I'm not 100% sure since I was already 100% rated. So we knew
Right.
she got it, and I'm probably spacing on like
Right.
when they're. But basically, if I remember the rule right, your spouse can use it if you're not going to use it. So like if she uses it and she used it, but then it actually wasn't even applied. So I could use it again if I wanted a federal job. But like either your spouse gets the federal job or you do with the 10-point increase. But basically, I think there's a different point add up per like job position, whatever you're applying for.
Let's look
And
it up.
then,
We can. Perfect.
yeah.
I know that there's a. I'll look it up while you keep talking.
Well, there's
but
also, look it up. And then there's also a Colorado point increase for Colorado state jobs if you're, I think, 10% disabled also. So, like, just things that guys are completely, like, unaware of. And it's like, well, that doesn't matter to me. I'm going to go work construction or
right.
whatever. But it's like, yeah, but that ankle that is at 10% right now might not make construction that good for you 10 years down the
Yeah,
road,
right.
Like,
You're gonna start feeling stuff. In
yeah.
a little
Well,
bit,
nobody
dude.
thinks long term. No one realizes that like most injuries or VA disabilities or just anything in general, the older you get, the worse it's gonna get, and nobody thinks about that.
That's my go-to whenever I'm trying to get guys and girls to go to the VA to find out what benefits or start looking at starting the process of C&P exams, comp and pension, getting VA disability. Like you don't know what things affected you while you were in the military that 20 years down the road are going to debilitate you.
Yep.
Make it to where you can't work.
Yep.
And what do you do then?
Yep.
You might at least get the information and know what's available so that when, shit hits the fan, you know what to do.
Yeah, a good example of it, and I did this wrong because I was a pessimist against VA disability, and I left going, I'm not broken. But I had a team leader who happened to encourage me to at least get the physical things that got messed up rated, and I walked out with like a 40%. But two things I didn't connect were I had neck pain, pretty bad neck pain, and I had pretty bad knee pain. And so about a year down the road, here I'm going in for x-rays and MRIs on my neck, and here I have 2 compressed discs in my neck.
Oh, God.
It's like, if I was smarter, if the old me...
You're
well,
making
actually,
my back hurt, dude.
They're both fused now. August, I did the first one naturally fused, and then the other one, they wanted to rush me into surgery because they said it was 2 weeks, so like if I fell down, it would just like could sever my spinal cord. Yeah. I told him I wanted the summer, so I did the fusion in August.
Did that actually end up helping you, or has it made things a little bit harder or worse, or how did it affect you?
So when I did that claim, I was just what I'd say dangerous as far as
like getting your back fused.
Well, neck, yeah. So far, it's the jury's out. It takes about a full year for like the bone or whatever to completely heal, but the nerves that got messed up can take up to 1.5 to 2 years.
And you already got PNT, right? 100%.
Yeah,
PNT?
I was already PNT and not even off that disability. I messed
better.
So
I mean, it's bad that you're jacked up. Like that's. I want to make sure that's abundantly clear. Like,
hey,
it sucks.
Everybody I tell, I'm like, you know what? I have enough connections to hit 100% twice. You remove my first set of connections, I'll hit 100% a second time. And like some people look at me funny and be like, yeah, but you seem to function. And it's like,
yeah, you're a fit dude.
Yeah, you don't know the shit that I deal with on a daily basis, on a secondly basis. Like I almost destroyed one of my branch managers when I worked at Chase Bank. She was like trying to explain that I shouldn't take time with people, and like there's these old ladies coming in that are like getting defrauded, and it's my job to take care of them. And then she's like, don't waste so much time with them, like you need to go after high net worth clients. She's like trying to get through to me, and she's like, think of this lobby floor. You were in combat, right?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I know where this is going.
Process what you're about
to
say.
I know where this is going, and I need to not want to,
You know what that makes me think of? The Incredibles.
Oh yeah. Yep.
This company is like a clock. That's right. Gears that flow together.
Shit.
That's all it makes you think of in like every veteran. It's just like, wow.
Yeah. Think of this as a combat zone.
Yeah. Oh,
and they're the enemy trying to take your time. And I'm like,
Did you watch Marshall's video he did with Patton Veterans Project?
No, I don't think I got that one.
You want to watch it?
Oh.
Not to. I'm the worst. I'm a squirrel, dude. Like, stop me if I go off on tangents. But it's talking about exactly what you're talking about. So it's not too off topic. But it basically goes over being in the military, getting out, living life as a veteran, going to work, and how people at your job are. We'll save it for later.
Yeah.
But
sounds good.
Sorry.
No,
dude,
I do want to
fucking
watch it.
squirrel.
I do.
But it talks about exactly what you're saying, where people that have no idea what combat is, people that have no idea what it's like to serve your country, and comparing what you're doing now to what you did while you were in. And it's like, this is in no way comparable to what we're doing right now. So, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's literally what you just said, but in a short little film that is hilarious. And we both know Marshall, so like,
Yeah.
again,
Oh, yeah.
squirrel.
Oh, yeah.
I have that
Oh, yeah,
veteran
yeah.
stuff pulled up. The VRA veteran recruitment appointment allows agencies to make non-competitive appointments for eligible veterans up to GS11 or equivalent grade level. Veterans are hired under expected appointments to positions that are otherwise in a competitive service. After the individual satisfactorily completes 2 years of service, the veteran must be converted or non-competitively to a career or career conditional appointment. I don't know if this is exactly what I'm.
I don't think that's the 10-point, but
No.
no, that's another benefit right there.
This
where
is
you can
specific to
have-
GS jobs.
Yeah, but like GS jobs is federal, right? So not only can you have on a competitive hiring the 10-point boost, but you can also apply to a non-competitive hiring to where you don't really have to compete, or you're only competing with other veterans or something like that.
10-point veteran preference. Okay, I think this is what 10-point veteran preference. What is it and how it works? If you're a veteran, If you're a veteran who's looking for a job, you may have heard the 10-point veteran preference. This is a system that gives eligible veterans an advantage when applying for federal jobs. Essentially, if a qualified veteran is eligible for the 10-point preference, they will be placed ahead of the other applicants in the hiring process. So what exactly is a 10-point preference? These points are added to a veteran's score on civil service exam or application, giving them a higher ranking than non-veteran applicants. So basically, it's going to like put you ahead and make
Yeah.
it to where no matter what, they have to look at your stuff.
Yep, and so you can use that, and also you can, because of your 10% connection or whatever, that other thing you were looking at, you can also apply for the non-competitive hiring, which
Is it limited though? Like you can. It sounded
well,
like
it was
what you were
limited to 11.
No. I mean, it sounded like you said if I use it once, or if I don't use it, my wife can use it, or if
It's like one person, but it's not limited. So
at
like,
a time, or
from my understanding is like if she's the one using it, like my wife, then I can't use it when I apply. That was my understanding when I read that part. But again, everybody do your own information
Yeah.
checking.
I wish I had a
like-
Jamie or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
like that.
exactly.
When I get my 15-year-old to come in here.
I found this.
But I mean, it's a good little benefit, right? And it's like 10%. You rolled your ankle, it hurts. Boom, that's a 10%.
It gets you on the list.
Yeah, it gets you on the list, and down the road, a lot of people don't know it. You hear a little bit more about it, but like getting disabilities connected. So like you roll your ankle, that's messed up. Now your left knee is messed up. Well, it's probably messed up due to your messed up ankle because you're walking on your legs funny, So then maybe it's 10 years, but go get that connected. Maybe that's 10%. Well, that's nothing. Well, like now you're at 20%. Like VA math's weird, but a 10 out of 10 still gets you at 20. So
A lot of guys. Do you have a good understanding of how that rating system works and how they calculate it?
yes,
Have you seen that video where the guy's like explaining when you get out of the military as a veteran, you are already at 100%, and then each claim that you get and each percentage that you get cuts whatever it is in half, and then like it.
yeah,
you
pie
know.
charted. Well, so like when you get out, you're not at 100%. Like unless
No.
you do. But
Yeah,
like you have a whole pie.
Exactly.
That's your percentage.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So the pie analogy is good. Basically, it's just of whatever percent you are. And I can go over the pie analogy, but there's some other stuff that goes into like that percentage rating. It's not just a clear-cut pie. But it's pretty fair. So like, say you get out and you get headaches connected at 50%, and that's your largest claim. Usually just start with the biggest claim. So boom, headaches, 50%. So that's half of the pie. So now if you go to connect another disability, you're no longer taking the percentage of a whole pie. You're taking the percentage of now half a pie because you already took half a pie away. So say you got vertigo connected at 30%. So now you're taking 30% of the 50 that's left. So what would that be, 15%? Yeah, 15%. Yeah. So now you got 15% and you add it to your original 50, and now you're at 65%. Now, at 5%, you round up. Below 5%, you round down. So 65% would round up to 70. It doesn't mean you have a flat number of 70 when it says, oh, your rating of 70 is 70% between vertigo and headaches. Your rating is actually 65. They just rounded up for your pay. So when you go to connect another claim, you're not starting off at 70%. You're starting off at 65. And say you get like a 10% connection for your wrist or something. Now you're taking 10% of the final 35% that's left, and that's only 3.5%. So that's not going to do anything as far as increasing your overall VA pay. But guess what? You get a 10% here or 10% there. It all adds up over time. And the older you get, the more shit goes wrong, especially with the VA disabilities. So, again, people are like, well, but, like, I'm at 90%, and, like, I got nothing left to connect, and, like...
It's like, oh, trust me, dude. You'd be surprised how much stuff...
Yep. It's
you don't think about that is connected to whatever issues you might be dealing with at the moment, and it's like, dude...
Yep.
You have no idea. So and that's the one thing I've found that a lot of guys get irritated with the most is they're like, well, I got my knees, I got my ankles, I got 10, 20 times, and I'm still at whatever percentage. And it's like, I understand it's frustrating, but the first time I ever heard it explained like that was amazing because it kind of gave some clarity to be able to explain it to other people that might be what's keeping them from going back.
Yeah. Well, and so there's something that, like, nobody realizes either. This is just from my experience, and, like, you hear it talked about maybe a little bit on your VA disability channels, but, like, people, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to sink in. It didn't really sink in until it, like, magically happened to me. I was like, oh, what the heck is that? So, right, 10%. That's what I was thinking. 10 to 20%, I connect my left knee, right? I had knee pain for a while. It took me a decade before I filed on it. It was really messed up, and I finally get it connected, and I had my MRI and my x-rays and got the diagnosis, patellar tendinosis, which is jumper's knee, go figure, being in a Ranger Battalion.
Oh, yeah, you were airborne, right?
Yeah, Ranger Battalion, go figure, jumping and rucking all the time. But anyway, so patellar tendinosis, and I'm like, well, based off of my pain and my mobility, like, this is 10 to 20%. Not going to do too much. And then it came back, and I was 50% for my knee. I was like, what kind of rating system? But they can, so, like, on those physical injuries, you get nickeled and dimed, but if the provider, the C&P provider, puts down, like, I forget the exact wording, but there's a box they can check where it's like, this condition is kind of screwed and it's only going to get worse.
It's debilitating.
Well, yeah.
There's no improvement
it's
to that specific area.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, like, debilitating, but it's like, this condition is only going to get worse. Then it gives it, like, a different classification. And a lot of times then the percentage that you get isn't going to be that 10 or 20. It's probably going to be that 50% or whatever like that. I haven't worked with too many guys that have had that happen. But it's like, yeah, you got the 10 or 20%, and it's frustrating, and, like, yeah, your back hurts way worse than, I don't know, the 10% for your tinnitus, and they're both 10%, right? But where I'll tell you what, take away my tinnitus any day, I'll live with the physical injuries.
Oh my god, dude, that ringing shit, nonstop, and, like, sometimes I've gotten to the point where I don't even notice it until it's really quiet or there's no background noise or anything, and it's literally just me sitting there with my thoughts, and, like, my ear will pop or something, and driving up to the mountains, it feels amazing, but if I'm just sitting somewhere in my ear, like, and it goes,
Oh.
and gets real loud just for like a minute or two, and then it kind of goes back to its normal, it drives me nuts. I am
Yep.
100% in the same boat of like,
Yep.
I will take my foot hurting over that any day.
Yep. Yeah. No, mine is well, shoot, we should stick on the what were you talking just before tinnitus? The the
Pie chart.
the pie chart,
Or
but
with
like
you going to
well
being an airborne ranger and
with everything with like the knee. So
Mm.
you know you get the knee connected and it's 20%, but like go get it diagnosed further or have it checked again, and you know maybe it's a little bit worse, and you're not going to make the next like criteria for 30% for that or 50, whatever the rating chart is. But it's like also there's a chance that if you do an increase, the person looking at you is going to be like, yeah, this is messed up. It's not going to get better, and check that box. And then you're not sitting at a 10, a 10, and a 20. Now you're sitting at a
Right.
10, a 10, and a 50. You know?
Well, a lot of people don't understand that they literally send you a packet of paperwork after you have your C&P exams that tell you got this 0% service connected or not connected, and it will tell you would have gotten 10% if you had met these requirements, or 20% or whatever it may be. And it's like it's all about how you explain these claims when you're talking to the examiner, because like you said, they're checking boxes. And if you are not specific on, does this affect you more than 3 times a week or whatever the question may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and to lead into that further, you know, veterans don't understand the terminology. That's one of the biggest reasons why guys get poor ratings, right? I think the best example of this is migraines, right? So to hit 50% for migraines, which is the highest rating, I mean, unless you want to go TDIU or whatever.
TBIs?
IU, sorry. 100% IU, unemployable, or UI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
then you could take that. I think the disability has to be like a 50 or 60% or something, but a lot of times
Yeah.
you can take a 50% and bring it to 100, but then you can't work.
Somebody
But-
had told me about that, and that was
Yeah.
the only thing that kept me from, because like I'm, you know, I can still work, I can go do things, but you know, the amount of weight that takes off of your shoulders, especially if you're dealing with, like, I can't go do a bricklaying job or something because day 5 I'm gonna be dying.
Yeah.
You know, laying
Yep.
tile, putting in grout or something.
Yep.
Like, nah,
Yeah.
dude. I will be in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I can do the physical job for a short time if I need to, but then it's like, man,
Yeah.
it just takes a bigger toll every time.
Oh, dude,
So-
that's the one thing I'll tell guys to do before they go in for any of these exams. Like, go grout some tile.
Yeah.
Go, you know, go do a workout. Do something that you know is going to irritate whatever this issue is. Not so that it's more because when you're going in for these exams, you want them to know what your worst day is.
Yeah.
You know, because let's say today I'm feeling great. You know, I'm not really hurting that bad. My pain's at a 5 instead of a 9, and I can actually bend this far instead of this far. You know, and not have any pain. You have to, like you said, you have to really articulate what your issues are and stop when you feel pain.
Yep.
You know, you don't want to be at your best, and you don't want to downplay your own issues. That's their job.
Well, I think that it reads for like some of these pain ones where it's like an elbow or a knee. Like it's graded off of like, is there pain, and then kind of like, what's the mobility? And I think for the mobility, it reads like where it becomes uncomfortable or strained, and like what is strained.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like the word's a little different. Like that's the weird thing with the wording. But basically, if you take it at the law, because you're dealing with a legal case, it's like
an
wherever.
insurance claim, basically.
Yeah, it's an insurance claim, but it's your benefit. It's a guaranteed thing, like this minimum thing that you get if they mess you up. So I don't know why they make you apply for it, but like I don't know why people aren't applying for it if they deserve it, you know, or.
When I hear people bitching and whining about veterans, like you'll see some of these TikTok videos where, you know, people they're cutting back on government waste and things like that, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
But then you'll hear people out of nowhere. Well, I know a bunch of vets that, you know, they're getting whatever a month and they're claiming disability, but I see them doing such and such, and I know he's probably lying or she's lying or whatever it may be. And it's like, you're gonna have shitbags. Like,
Yeah.
no matter what, no matter
Yep.
what field or whatever you're dealing with.
Yep.
But also, you're going to have politicians that are going to work for like 5 years, 4 years, something like that are going to be able to retire and get a pension of their full salary
Yep.
for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Or
And what have they done?
Yep.
They could have passed a kick-ass bill and, you know, had their fingers on, you know, whatever cool law or something they passed and, you know, help Jimmy get out of a well. Like, they could have done some badass stuff. Still, these guys are doing a quarter, very small percentage of the work veterans do on a daily basis, soldiers do on a daily basis. And after they get out, it's kind of, it's like, oh man, you really got to fight for these peanuts. Hurry up,
Yeah,
you know, and
exactly.
don't you overestimate your pain.
Like, man, that senator's gonna be really messed up after he goes up the elevator to the meeting, you know, like
he tweaked his
like,
back on that
yeah,
golf game.
after he had his assistant, you know, carry his briefcase, you know, like shit, my load overseas when we go out, especially on my my first trip, it was like 135 pounds, and we were at 6,500 to like 14,000 feet of elevation in the mountains on like a whatever pitch, you name it.
Did you see the article that they said they're trying to make it a requirement that the weight of a soldier's rucksack can't be over like 50 pounds or something?
You could never fight a war. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, but when
yeah.
I read that, I felt like that old guy back in my day. You know what I mean? It's like, you can say that all you want.
Yeah. What was the requirement in the Army for like the 12 mile? Was that 45?
Something like that. But it was, no matter what, I'm trying to think of what the weight was for air assault school for the 12 mile. I think it was 40 something or 50.
I know, like, when I did RASP, I think it was 45, but then, like any selection does, they always screw you. So yeah, it's 45 dry, then you had your water, but then you had your packing list. So by the time you got done with your rock, you were at like 65 pounds before water, you know? And then, like, you're on a graded 12. And that's like going into coal range. So it's like, well,
what made you want to join the military?
You know, I think from a young age I had family members that were in the military, aunts and uncles.
And you said you grew up in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin, most of my mom's family was in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. But they'd come to visit, or we'd visit them, and majority of them, my two aunts and uncle, were in the service, Navy, Army, Marines, and so like I always, I don't know, it just seemed like, oh, my cool auntie or my cool uncle was doing this, and then so there was like that interest, and then I always took to like military guys, and I don't know, explosions just seemed cool, you know, as a little kid, and
you're not alone,
you know,
dude.
Every you know, little boys are playing with their cars and monster trucks and dump trucks, and I'm over here playing with G.I. Joe and trying to get a tank or something.
Right.
And then I think what really pushed me towards going in was the special operations route. It was just, I grew up in a really deprived, poor town. It was like 8,200 people. We lived 5 miles from like actual town, but like the area was just really depressed in Ashland, Wisconsin, and you just would take a look at people, and here we're, you know, I'm whatever, but when rubber really hit the road, it was probably 14, 15, 16. So I'm 14, 15, 16. Yeah, I've always thought about the military. I always read like the military books, like Civil War, Revolutionary Wars, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, all the highlights, Desert Storm.
Right. Usually it's Rambo or
watching Rambo and
I
stuff
would
like
have thought
that.
Con
and
Air for you.
Con Air was big.
Ranger.
Well, back
Best commercial ever for the
yeah,
Army Rangers.
that was really good.
You are a part of an elite group.
Con Air, I think I got to. When did I get to it? It was towards the end, so I already knew I was going to the Rangers. I know. Black Hawk Down, actually. That actually set me in. So I told my parents I wanted to join, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I think I was like 10 years old, if I'm getting the dates right. 10 years old, and Black Hawk Down was just like recently out or something.
Right.
My aunt and uncle had bought it, like, to have or whatever. Back then, you bought your VHS tapes. And so they tell my aunt and uncle, and my aunt's like, well, have him watch Black Hawk Down and see if he considers going into the military after that. And I'm like 10.
Are you trying to
yeah.
for sure?
Oh, another one was 9/11. 9/11 was
Yeah.
huge. I watched the second tower get hit from my third grade science classroom. And then we went home early from school and Mom, the Twin Towers
Same.
are on fire. And she's like, what do you mean? Totally cut off from the world. And
We
so
got picked up from school.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no,
Oh,
the
yeah,
buses,
dude.
it was just a short day. My mom was home, luckily. I don't even think they called her, back in the little towns, oh, yeah.
That's nuts, dude.
But, watching those towers fall, it was right before my birthday, and I remember asking my dad, being like, Dad, I know, the whole world's, at war, and everything's chaos, but, am I gonna have a birthday? I was okay with
Still
it.
going to Chuck E. Cheese, right?
No, I was okay with.
Damn you, Taliban!
I was okay with not having a birthday. That's how much
Right.
I knew shit was affected, but I was just checking. I was not to ask too much. I know people are hurting, and we just got attacked. Everyone from
But my birthday's still a go, right?
Yeah. Well, everyone from our generation, it's our Pearl Harbor.
Oh, dude, I knew it was bad when my grandfather cried.
Oh, yeah.
He's sitting there
Jeez.
watching it. He knew the pilot, one of the pilots that I want to say it was the one that flew into the Pentagon.
Okay.
But we were 20-something miles from D.C. We lived right outside of there in Virginia, and he knew a lot of the firefighters that he was about to go. He was a
Jeez.
chief of the fire department
Wow.
in Jacksonville, and he was about to go up there as well with his
Wow.
station. So that's when I knew it was real for us as well, because we saw it in school. No one knew what was going on. Yeah. One of our my English teacher was a firefighter, and they turned it on, and he's just like, "This is gonna be bad." I'm like, "Oh God."
Oh, good time. But yeah, 9/11, that was instrumental in my life, and you follow the war after that, and then it wasn't too far from third grade to 10 years old, and then I'm watching Black Hawk Down. My parents thought it would scare the living shit out of me, and instead I was like,
America.
I was like,
fuck yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
and so then after that, I always knew I was gonna go in. I kept it quiet from my parents because they're like, no son of ours is just gonna go get themselves killed. They weren't against the military. They liked the military, but they were just like,
They love you.
they love me, so why? I don't want my son to throw away his life. And, by the time I was, getting close to 18, we were already broiled in that war for a long time. 10 years of war.
When did you join?
So I ended up joining at 20 because of an accident. But November of 2011.
Nice.
So, and I joined in a rush. Well,
Joined during wartime,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Hats off to you.
Yep.
Anybody who joined
so
around that time.
The things that pushed me towards special operations, like you asked, one, all of that pushed me towards the military. But then two, growing up in that small town and because we worked so hard, and you just had to be able to take in a lot of information and make unilateral decisions and just think for yourself, work for yourself, everything. If it was a 3-person job and you had to get it done in the same amount of time and you only had yourself, you had to figure out how to do the 3-person job in the same amount of time. Like there was, like, it was either get it done or the business fails, you go hungry.
Well,
you
know? you knew that what you were about to get yourself into was a life or death situation. Joining the military, like you already know something could happen, so you were kind of prepared for that. Do you think?
Well, going in, yeah, and I guess like the more I knew, like the more the farm work and the crazy stuff we did, like rebuilding our entire farm just like by our family and stuff like that. Like I more embraced it as like, this is going to make me better. This is a challenge. Let's overcome it. But also like the more I did that and the more like I excelled and saw what I was capable of, like as I came more into like manhood, you could call it, the more I looked at the people around me and I was just like, you guys suck. Like I don't hate people, but
Right,
like in
right.
that depressed town, and you see like
Ooh, yeah.
moms in broken, shitty minivans pulling up to the Quick Trip, smoking cigarettes with their baby in the back seat, hopping out, leaving the baby on its own just to go pick up some lottery tickets, some malt liquor, and another pack of cigarettes.
I was that kid.
Yeah,
I was the one that went to school in elementary smelling like cigarettes.
Jeez.
Like it. I feel you,
Jeez,
dude. It's
jeez.
depressing as
Like
fuck.
I grew up frickin' poor. Like my
Yeah.
parents were getting deer and like growing their own potatoes because they didn't have the money because everything went into the farm they used to milk, and milking got shit for money. But like that, just seeing people in that depressed state, and I'm just like, you don't want to get out of this. Like
Right.
I get it if you want to smoke or you want to drink and you can afford it. And
Yeah.
you can have your child like be someplace else when you're
Yeah.
smoking, or you can smoke outside, and like you got the money to afford to do that and raise your child.
Yeah.
But like if you're gonna have a kid, like why the fuck are you
I completely agree.
inducing them to cigarettes? Number one, but like even worse than that, like that's their last dollar they're spending on that pack of cigarettes.
And then you're gonna complain that you're broke.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
like you're not gonna take care of that kid. Like you probably are skipping out on diapers because you need more cigarettes.
Dude,
So
preaching to the choir.
oh yeah.
I am 100% on the same page with you.
So
on that.
so that pushed me towards special operations too, where it was just like I don't want to be around mediocre people.
You wanted to surround yourself with a better caliber of people to motivate you. I
Yep.
think that's amazing.
Yeah, I already knew I was doing better. I'm not egotistical here, but like
Right.
you take a note. You're like self-checking your way in, and you're like,
I can
man,
do
there's
better than this.
there's not a lot of people that are keeping up with the crazy shit that I can do.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why would I join the military and just be with the, and nothing against
Joe
the units,
Blow,
but
yeah.
a Joe Blow or,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I went to do my ASVAB, one, I never practiced for it. 2, I was hungover. 3, the reason why I was hungover is because the recruiter called me at like 10 o'clock at night and was like, hey, do you want to take the ASVAB? We'll pick you up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
And I was like, sure. Yeah, why not? So woke up at 3:30, drove into town, got picked up, went and did it, and I got an 80 on it. So like,
nice.
if I would have practiced a little bit, I probably could have hit higher than that.
Right.
But then some other guy in the car, he's going infantry too, and he got a 32.
Oh my
He
God, I was about to say
he was ecstatic. He was ecstatic. He was like,
That's good,
I'm getting
right?
into the military, blah blah. And like by then we had dropped our standards all the way down to like 32 for a little bit, and I was like, yeah, you're getting in.
You did it,
And,
buddy.
Yeah, and like just by sitting with that guy, I was like, I wouldn't want you to be in my
Foxhole.
team
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, okay, I can't say he was a bad guy. I didn't get to know him that long, and I'm glad he was joining the military. And we let people in with 32s for a
Bettering
reason.
himself?
Yep, bettering
That's a-
himself. Hopefully, yeah.
He could have grown up in that exact situation
Yep.
that you were
That
depicting
shitty,
in
depressed
the
town.
van.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and nothing
and it's-
against him. Yeah, nothing against him. But like when I score an 80 and then I'm maxing out my PT test, I'm like, I want to go where people are gonna rub off on me. I want the best of
Yeah.
the best if I can get there. So
yeah.
then that's when I was looking at option 40 contracts, which if people don't know what those are, they're if you sign it, if you can make it through OSIC, one station unit training, then I think they switched it now, but back then you went to airborne school, and then if you passed airborne school, then you'd go to RASP, which used to be called RIP, and then if you got selected for RASP, that's when you'd go to your Ranger Battalion. And so back then, when I first signed up, I was 18, but I was going to ship off when I was 19 because I was like old for the school year or whatever, because like birthday September. So I signed a contract that was for airborne, but not for like the Ranger contract because there wasn't any like Ranger contracts at the time. And then I broke my wrist. They tore up my contract.
Oh, no.
That was kind of depressing. But
yeah, that blows.
But they barely let me back. Actually, the funny thing with that is when I went down to MEPS the second time to evaluate me for my wrist, the doctor who like gets the x-ray and all this stuff, he's like, well, seems like you have good flexibility. Everything's all good with the wrist, fully recovered. I was like, yeah. He's like, okay. But you can't get into the military. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, right here. Pulls up this big medical book, opens it up like practically to the page, and he's like, right here it says, like, if you have any arthritis, we can't let you in. And apparently they saw some rheumatoid arthritis or whatever in the wrist, and I was like, fuck. Like, my whole world was falling apart. And then he's like, but the decision's not on me. The final doctor you'll see next, he signs off on whether you get in or not. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, so here's my report. Make sure to give it to him. I'm like, bottom of the pile.
Yeah, right.
Screw this. And the
paid off.
The guy like looked through the first few pages, through the rest. He's like, welcome to the Army. I was like,
hell yeah,
okay.
dude.
Okay.
Good for you.
But I only signed a standard infantry contract my second enlistment because of the wrist. They wouldn't let me look at airborne or RASP, like an option 40. And so, you know, I wasn't happy with it, but I was bound and determined to go in. I knew if you go to standard unit, you can apply to do airborne and RASP, or you could go SF if you decide to go that route after.
You just got to step your game up.
Yeah, step your game up, be good, put in a packet, command signs off on it. But, you know, they can be a pain in the ass too. But, you know, if I wanted to go that route, that was my only option, was to sign infantry standard. And, you know, the recruiters over there going, I know you wanted to go Ranger, but, like, if you're good enough, you can pick up a Ranger contract in basic, or pick up an airborne contract, and then in airborne pick up a Ranger contract.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I know recruiters lie, but like this is my only option if I want to do this shit. And a part of the reason I went,
it's like, I hope he's telling the truth.
yeah, part of the reason I went the regiment route is I read up on all the other like infantry type special operations, like, you know, you got the SEALs, you got MARSOC and stuff like that, and you know, there's some more like, they're definitely trigger pullers still, but, you know, like Navy EOD and PJs and JTECs are all there too. But another major reason, because I was actually looking at the SEALs for a little while, but was the pipeline. So here it's 2011, and the pipeline was, 4 or 5, like 7 months. 7 months, and you could be at your unit and deployed.
Right.
Potentially. And like the pipeline for the other ones, like the SEALs and stuff like that, I think, if I remember right,
Took too long.
a year and a half, 2 years, and I was worried the war was going to be over. And then, then not all
20
those,
years later.
Yeah, 20 years, yeah, unbeknownst. But I was also worried, like, if the war wasn't over, it would be less hot. I wanted to get in.
Right.
I wanted to get in and get into like
Get
the
into
actual
shit.
battle.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, in my mind, I wanted to kill guys who did 9/11, and then, you know, you see how people treat each other in this small town, and, you know, I kind of wanted to just eliminate bad people, and, you know, make the world better, defend my country, but just literally make the world a better place. Like,
Has your view changed compared to when you were first joining, when it has to do with, you know, how the war started, how it went, and how it ended?
I mean, are you talking like the conspiracy theories where it's like it was a remote jet, like,
right. No.
or whatever? They shot a missile into the Pentagon. It wasn't a plane.
No, more like having spent time in the military, having gone overseas and been on deployment. has your view changed now compared to, man, I want to go over, I want to get in the shit, I want to do this, that, and the other?
I mean, I think I was in 4th or 5th grade when I saw, like, the war going on, or, like, going into Afghanistan. I kind of remember it. And I remember, like, hearing about Afghanistan and, like, Iraq had the oil, but Afghanistan, it has a lot of resources, but we didn't take advantage of them. But at the time, they weren't talking about the minerals and stuff. And my view on it was, we should just glass them, just nuke them. Like they're a bunch of like troublemakers, and if they're not troublemakers, and
That's a
they're
good
actually
word.
they're actually trying to survive, like they're just gonna get killed by the nefarious people. And after seeing it, interacting with it, seeing how people live over there, we should
Right.
just glass them.
Oh, dude,
Like-
that was the most depressing shit I had ever
Oh,
seen in
God.
Afghanistan. Was
Yep.
some of the people that were allowed to come on to the fob just to, like, pick up trash, whatever, looked like cartoon characters. Not because they're just ugly or whatever. And it sounds fucking horrible the way I'm saying it, but like, dude with one big eye, one small eye, like a
Yeah.
hunchback, like.
Yeah.
A lot of these people do not have access to just basic medical care, and it turns into these
Oh my
disabilities, and
God. So
it's sad.
like the way we did operations overseas was pretty much all snatch and grabs, right? So
High value.
high value,
type.
yeah, kill or capture high value targets, and then like if you get into a tick, a lot of times you don't spend much time in that tick because an AC-130 gunship levels them. Because we just rolled with so much assets. Like you'd have your AC-130s, your Cobras, your F-whatevers, and
Right.
your Predator drones, whatever spooky, and then you'd have like your blocking components to where like it was just a bad day. Like I remember one time there was like something like 21 technicals that were gonna roll up on us. They were like probably 15 minutes out, so they're a bit away, but like we're on foot and we can't get to our LZ for a little while. And I'm like, man, now we're finally gonna get to throw down 21 technicals. I don't know how many.
Warthog flashback.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah. Well,
Done.
no, and I happened to be by like command, so my platoon sergeant was there, and he's like, whatever the call sign was, like just drop them. And like AC-130 just lit up 21 of them, just like. I was like,
you guys suck.
I was like, fuck, I forgot about that. Like,
Can't have any fun.
like all those assets
Yeah.
are there, but like when somebody says, oh yeah, 21 trucks are gonna roll up on you, you're like, God, this is it. And then
let's go.
and then it's like, fuck. It was cool to see,
Right.
like kind of over the hill, but like still a nice gun run. I was like, cool, shit, okay, that was a good time.
Yeah, right.
But you know what? I wouldn't want it any other way. Like I would have hated to. Like it would be a great story in the aftermath,
Right.
like if you lived through that shit. But
Yeah.
like at the same time, it's like I wouldn't have wanted to just stick it out with 21 trucks and say 4 packs a truck or 5 packs a truck. But
Yeah.
you're looking at 100 guys, like 80.
Just tell them to hold back
Yeah.
for like 5 minutes. Like, hey, let them come in. We'll make first contact. You know,
we'll open up with
get a
some
couple shots in.
240s. Yeah, open up with
Then
some
you guys
240s.
come in.
Jeez. Yeah, that would have been fun. Okay, shit. Where were we
Dude.
going with this?
Oh no, it was
Oh, yeah.
mainly just talking about.
Oh
your,
yeah, going into the regiment.
More. Do you think your
Afghanistan.
idea of combat and going in and the way you saw things prior to going overseas has changed your viewpoint compared to now?
Well, I still think we should glass them. But like I saw, like Iraq and Afghanistan is more like a kind of as a. I don't want to use this term, but because it's not like how it wasn't a religious thing, but it was kind of more of like a holy war, right? Like they did us a major injustice for no reason, and now we need to take them out. And like also. Like they're not fostering any good thumbs up for America, so like
Right.
so like a double negative for them. But now,
and then you see the injustice
Yeah.
of like village to village.
yeah, you
like,
see the injustice.
Wait, you
from-
guys do what to
Yeah.
your own village?
Yeah, yep.
Jesus.
You guys shoot it out with each other. Like, we don't even need to be here. Like, we'll just let you kill each
Yeah.
other off until somebody stands up, and then we'll bomb you. Like, I mean, that's I guess that's how my viewpoint has changed. Is like, I don't know if you could go back and deal with Afghanistan and Iraq differently. I still think going into Afghanistan would have just been better if we just bombed them. And we just kept a carrier group over there, and we just kept bombing them whenever they popped their head up. And if you didn't want to nuke them,
Right.
but like it was just, especially after the pullout, it was like, dude, we lost so many lives over there for what?
Yeah.
We didn't make their life any better. The Taliban's back in place. Like, people that helped us, we screwed them over. Like,
Oh man,
You
the
know,
way we
like,
left was just
yeah.
disgusting.
yeah. So then, Iraq's a different thing. Like, Iraq, it's like, should have we gone in? Should have we not gone in? Like, there's a lot of conspiracy about like, oh, did they even have weapons of whatever, biological weapons, stuff like that, and
Right.
and like, I don't know. I talked to a guy who swears up and down they ran across the biological weapons and they were just buried across the border.
Hmm.
Bullshit like that. It's on.
Well, they had reason to believe that the issue was actually in Afghanistan, but we went to Iraq.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So back then, I saw it as like they did us harm, but now it's like, well, even if they did us harm, that's not the way to go. Like,
Yeah.
and I read up a little bit on Afghanistan when I was younger, but like until you're over there and actually spend time in the mountains and see how people live, you don't understand why every empire goes there and dies. You know what I mean? Like Alexander the Great, he didn't conquer it. He went there, he got his ass kicked. He finally saved face by marrying some warlord's daughter and saying like, I am now the king. Goodbye. I'm gonna go east. I want India. Like,
Well, Russia got their asses
Yeah,
handed to them too.
yep, Russia got their asses handed to them. Now, I mean, we were
We-
actually doing good.
Yeah.
But we screwed that up.
Yeah.
So it's also their culture. Their culture is just. I got stories on their culture.
Oh God, what?
Oh, you
Is
don't
it like that? Damn, I was just reading something, Afghanistan specifically, right?
Yeah.
I was just reading something or watching something in regards to what they do with like young boys over there in Afghanistan.
Oh God, this is
Yeah.
This is
Dude, go for it, man.
I don't know if you want this story. I guess we can always cut it
Yeah,
out.
we can edit it. We can do whatever.
Okay, so I'm on my second deployment to Afghanistan. We're near Kabul in the Tangi Valley. We're popping dudes coming off Pakistan that are funding, IEDs and just like different things. They know how to make the bombs, and they pay people to put them on and go blow
They
themselves
were
up.
good at it.
Yep, or the V-bids or whatever. But these guys are like, knowledgeable, and they have thousands of dollars to spend, and you can give, a lady $1,000 who lost her husband, and, that $1,000 will go to support her kids for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
But what no one tells you is as soon as she blows herself up, then the Taliban takes the kids the money, and the Taliban just teaches the kids to be fighters or to go blow themselves up.
You
So it's
wanna
like,
do the same thing
yeah,
your mom did?
do the holy thing.
Jesus.
And go get your virgins. You're not even at puberty yet. But either way, so I'm on my second trip, and we're not having quite the action that we had on our first trip, and they're starting to change stuff over to where it's just not getting as fun. Like, they stopped sometime in my second trip. They stopped like letting us actually go into the compounds. Only the Afghani police unit, Afghani
Right, or
spec
the
ops, or whatever.
interpreters.
Yeah, only the Afghanis could go in there and like do the sensitive site exploitation, take down the people, and then we were just kind of there to advise. So then less guys were going out on operations, and instead of like 30, 40 of us, 50 of us going out, there'd be 10, 12, 14. But we had a
Right.
bigger size group of Afghanis because now we were plussing them up so they could go do what we were doing. But like we still went out some. But either way, my squad leader, he drops his package to be a chopper pilot and gets approved. And so I'm in weapon squad at the time, and the weapon squad leader, the way we had it set up, was supposed to take care of the Afghanis on campus, and then also like on mission, you know, he wouldn't be like a direct contact, but you know, he'd have that connection to be able to deal with the Afghanis a little bit better. So it'd be like him with an interpreter and like the platoon sergeant with the interpreter, you know, directly coordinating. Well, after he drops that packet, all of a sudden it's like nothing on the operation, nothing on the deployment matters to him. He just checks out. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to go fly choppers. Like, I don't care anymore. And so he just like checks out, and like, you know, some guys like really hate the APU, and they have some good reasons. Well, this might be one of them. Either way. So randomly one day, my platoon sergeant happens to be looking for my squad leader because all this shit's supposed to happen with the Afghanis. They're ready, and we're getting new guys in, and nope, the squad leader ain't to be found. And so like I'm an E4. I'm nowhere near an E6, and I'm not even tabbed, so I'm not a tabbed E4. So like technically, I have no power. Like
Right.
in Ranger Battalion. In Ranger Battalion, everyone's like an E nothing until you're tabbed E4. And then you're a corporal, you know? So he comes in, he's like, I need you. And I'm like, okay. Well, everybody tells me they need me to do stupid shit, so here it goes. And nope, instead, he has me go with him to take care of these Afghanis. They're like fingerprinting them and shit like this. And so it starts off like that. I first doing a good job with
In
the
their
first
compound or village?
we brought some new Afghani police to the base, and a part
Oh,
of doing
so it was
that,
at the fob.
yeah, at the
Okay,
fob.
gotcha.
And so like part of doing that, we had to in-process them, fingerprint them. And so the platoon sergeant didn't have time to do that shit because the squad leader is supposed to be doing it, but he's nowhere to be found. So then E Nothing's here, and he's like, okay, you take care of them with their in-processing, even though I have no rank. But like we're with regular army, so they don't know who we are. We don't have any patches besides like an American flag, you know. But we happen to have this guy flag on the fingerprinting, and like the regular army's like all jittery because it's like he's a terrorist. And so like I calm them down. I'm like directing them, like just co-opting their unit, and I'm like, okay, just, you know, take it easy. These are good guys. I'm sure there's just something messed up. I'll go get them. Like, either way, I took care of that really well. And so then with that squad leader being out, he basically just kind of like gave me the rank of E6. Like, it wasn't like I was wearing E6.
Right.
But like after a while, like there was a lot of fuck games in Ranger Battalion. A ton of hazing. Like actually that's another thing that I hate so much, that like I could go into like why guys need to get shit connected, even if you didn't see combat. But like if you're in some of those units that are that bad, it's like,
Yeah.
like I saw dudes that didn't even deploy once before we deployed, and they looked like beat puppies, man. They looked like they were just jumpy, jittery, like just like
Shell shock just
yeah,
from
yeah,
hazing.
fucking PTSD just from
God.
hazing. Like, but well, like, dude, like guy accidentally flagged his team leader, and like after the training, it was like, I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock before we got to go home, and they were smoking the guy the whole time since we got back to the cough, and then they threw him his e-tool and said, follow us out back. He followed him out back. He said, dig a 6x6 foot hole right here, like right behind the cough, and sleep in it. Next day they came back. He was sleeping in the hole. They said he had to sleep in the hole. They came back, started kicking dirt in on him to wake him up, and yeah, like that was just like a little bit of the shit that like. And like that guy semi had it coming to him because he flagged somebody, but on my opinion, I don't think that bad. Like,
No, yeah.
the regular-
Sometimes most of that turns into
Ugh.
fighting words. Like, okay, how much shit am I gonna take
Yeah.
till I push back?
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, but if you fight a team leader, that's it doesn't go good for you. Like even if
Yeah.
you win that fight, like
Right.
they'll just kick you out of regiment.
Yeah.
Like so you're kind of left just taking shit, and
Yep.
if you got a bad team leader, you're really fucked. But anyways, back to the Afghanis because this story's insane. So I'm in charge of these Afghanis. I'm running around. I'm taking care of them. I'm doing shit that probably nobody else was doing, and and like probably taking a lot more risks. But when you're a standing E6 is that untabbed E4 and Ranger Battalion, you have power enough to be like, I can't do push-ups because
I gotta go
platoon-
do this other
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah. So like, fuck off. But on the other hand, you can't be like, you're coming with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, especially if the
Yeah.
guy's like the same rank as you. So like, I'm running these guys outside the wire so they can go to their mosque and pull out their pay to get their money to buy shit.
Are you guys doing convoys to go do that?
No, I'm driving a Haji van full of like 18.
Out of the fob?
Yeah, out
to
of the
where-
fob.
And just so people know, it's forward operating base.
Yeah.
That's... What?
Yeah, and get this, like, I'm thinking I don't want to spook these guys, so I'm just wearing my pistol. So I'm like rolling with my Beretta 9 with a couple spare mags by myself because I
Oy
can't
vey.
get help. What?
Oy vey, man. That's
Yeah,
nuts.
I didn't even
Like-
think of it. It was pretty cool. I bought some Haji dip over there because they wouldn't let it inside the fob, you know,
Right.
but outside the fob. So like,
Buy a couple logs, sell
Yeah,
that shit.
No, well, actually, no, I didn't buy the Haji dip. That's a different story. I thought about buying it, but then I was like, that's like
crazy.
opium.
You guys weren't taking... I mean, I would have at least imagined you guys would take like an MRAP or something. Like,
no, I
that's
mean,
nuts.
I think my squad leader would have probably taken like our Hilux and had
Damn.
like 4 guys in the Hilux and then like 2 guys in
Something.
the van or some shit. But like I couldn't get any help, and I'm trying to get shit done, and I don't want to let my platoon sergeant down. Like he actually really liked me because I just got
Right.
shit done. So I'm just cruising out there in the Haji bus, like going through security and whatever, and then like out and just you know, we didn't go too far outside the base. There was like
Right.
a little bazaar or whatever.
Oh,
that had
okay,
the
so it was
ATM.
pretty close.
Yeah, it was
to
pretty
the- oh,
close,
okay.
but like I don't know, it was like
Everything was shit. It was really good distance away from us. So
Oh,
like that's
shit.
how I'm thinking of it.
Mm.
Like, Jesus, dude, how
No, it
far
wasn't
were you
that
going
bad.
out,
Yeah.
man?
it was
ooh.
like a few clicks maybe tops, and
Mm.
but it was cool. Like we had like all those weird energy drinks like any other military guy that has. But
What's
like
that tiger one?
oh yeah,
You know which
Red
one I'm
Tiger. I have the Tiger. I don't know. There was
That thing was like crack. That and the Ribbits.
yeah, Rippets, and then what was we had pit bulls. Like
Mm.
the Singer pit bull.
Oh,
like
I think
a pit bull energy drink.
yeah, I hadn't
like,
gotten any
shit
of
like
those
that.
yet.
There was something else over there. There's several of them. But either way, like the little bazaars, they had like 12-ounce regular monsters.
Oh damn.
I was like, so I bought a couple of those. But either way, so I'm doing all this crazy shit. And one day they invite me in to like have food and talk, like in one of their hooches. You hear all those stories like, oh, they're gonna jump you and
Then a guy came out with an axe.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Jesus.
something crazy. But like, I went in and I like hung out with them, and like their PL, their platoon leader, like had decent English, and so didn't really want to eat any of their food because you hear all those stories like
wanna
you'll shit
shit
yourself.
myself.
Yep. I think I had like a crunch of one of their like fried like dessert things because I was
Right.
just like, well, it's fried, so maybe it's not horrible if it's was cooked recently.
Right.
But either way, so made friends with them and like different story, but not as like horrible, or just like mentally changing. Different one I can talk about. Like got to know one of their like squad leaders pretty well, but one day the PL comes up to me of the Afghanis and he's like, "Hey, I got a guy not feeling good." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm running on like no sleep the entire deployment because I'm taking care of Afghanis. I'm having to do my job and then do ops now and then whatever else stupid shit people order you to do.
Right.
And so I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'll get the medic." So went and got the medic. And the medic comes back to me and he's like, "Okay, the guy's not doing very good. We're going to have to fly him out of here.
Oh,
I was
damn.
like, oh, okay. I didn't ask. I was just like, whatever. Like, he's no longer under my care. Cool. like you're just not even thinking when you're that tired and like,
Right.
like, okay, one less guy. Cool. I know where he's at. So then the guy comes back. I'm like, cool. He must be doing better. And they're like, well, no, he has a colonoscopy bag, and like he is just gonna be here until his paperwork's figured out, and then we're gonna get him like back someplace else. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then like 2 weeks go by, and Sam PL comes up to me. He's like, hey, I got a guy. He's not feeling too good. And so I go get the medic, and it happens to be the same guy. And so the medic's like, well, we got to get him out of here. So they fly him out again. I'm like, okay. I don't really think about it past that. Like, it's just this guy's in and out. So I'm finally finishing the deployment, and we're in the Haji bus going to the airport. I end up sitting by the medic. The medic's like, man, it's just been bothering me, but do you know what happened to the guy? I was like, okay. It's like the guy that, like, we had the Afghani, that we had to keep flying out. I was like, no, he must have been pretty messed up. Like, he gets some type of, like, virus or something. He's like, no. He's like, because our Afghanis, they couldn't leave our compound, and there were no Afghanis on the compound besides them. But he's like, no, you know what happened is that guy happened to be his platoon's village bike.
Village bike?
Yeah, like it's a slur that's like guys will call like a girl who's like more of a whore a village bike, right? Like everybody rides it. Yeah.
Eee.
Yeah. So yeah, the medic's like, yeah, that guy was a village bike for his platoon.
Oof.
And he caught a anal infection. And so they brought him out, and it was bad enough they had to operate. So then that's why he had the colonoscopy bag.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he was shitting out his side. And then I was like, oh, okay. So, like, why'd we have to send him out again? Like, I thought they were just going to ship him out. Like, we had to, like, fly him out. And he's like, well, they just switched holes.
Oh, no. I knew you were going to say that. I was hoping that's not what it was going to be. Oy. Dude, that sucks.
That's Afghanistan. They don't all do that.
Obviously, yeah.
But and we're using the term they for people, but yeah, that's Afghanistan.
That's nuts.
And you'll meet some good people over there. I'm sure there are.
Right.
Some of those Terps that guys, we're doing everything to bring back the interpreters. But then there's like that's a majority of their culture, or a portion. And then you wonder why they fight so much.
Or blow themselves up. I would do that. I mean, damn, dude. Once I get another hole, I'd be like, yeah, no, this ain't happening.
Is it. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty dark.
Yeah. It was when that it actually took a while for that to hit me, because I was so short on sleep, just like trying to get out of there. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it took me like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes to be like, that's really fucked up.
And I mean, as horrible as it is for that guy, like, just knowing that shit like that was going on had to mess with you in some way.
I mean, it did. I'm like, these are our own guys. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not really in
Right.
our platoon.
They're the people you're
but, like,
training, that you're working with.
Like, these are the guys that are supposed to be
Yeah.
taking over for us. Like a not nearly as fucked up story, but like another example of like what these spec ops of like whatever we were supposed to be training. And I'm not going to put it on us. I'm going to put it on, you're trying to train Afghanis how to fight Afghanis. Like, it's going to be nuts. But like another example is like on that second deployment, we hit this compound and we can't go inside. And there's supposed to be something like $30-some thousand of American cash in there, explosives and like drugs or something else. And so the Afghanis go inside, and they found some drugs or something, and they found some explosives, and they found the guy, and they arrested him, and we were like, "Where's the money?" And they're like, "Well, we didn't find any.
What are you talking about?
We didn't find any. Like, they just pocketed 30-some thousand, and
What do you think they pocketed when we left?
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah." But and like on one hand, I mean, those guys were really risking their lives. Like they, almost every single one of them had a big bone to pick with the Taliban. Like their whole family was killed or something like that was
Right.
almost all of their story. That's why we could kind of trust them. But on the other hand, they didn't quite see it eye to eye. They're like, well, this is just going to sit in justice, so it's better off if I use it. Like I wish I somewhat get that sentiment. I don't think you should be fucking your fellow soldier, but
Yeah, that's,
I guess if they're the opposites, I don't know. At least no platoon gangbangs. Oh, wait, the Marine Corps. Shit.
Dude, the eye in the sky, those blimps that they had,
Oh, yeah.
you could see from a distance. You could see a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I love hearing people talk about stories where they're like, oh yeah, $5 says this dude's about to bone that sheep or this goat or whatever. And it's like, I've heard that different story so many damn times from different people. And it's when there's not much to do out there.
Yeah.
And you think this is a normal thing to do. Like, I could see why some of these guys are doing this.
Yeah.
Because, like, in their mind, it's, oh, yeah, I'm
It's-
bored,
it's-
I'm horny.
It's part of their culture. Like shit. I got one of those stories too, where like we were hitting this compound, and like me and this other roughly new private on my first deployment are like clearing this like stable area in the compound, and then like we're going in, nods are on and shit, like. And all of a sudden I see motion, and it's like some guy, and so I'm like pieing off and going around the corner, and motioned my buddy on, so like we're both keyed in on him, and we come around the corner, and it's this dude fucking a goat at like 2:00 in the morning, like. Yeah,
Well, you didn't see how that goat was looking at him, man.
I had no clue, but I don't know, why are you up fucking a goat at 2:00 at night, like. Just woke
He's
up.
got work in the morning.
Woke up, had morning wood, and just like was like, I'm not gonna wake my wife up. Like,
I don't want to hear her yell at me.
it's just like, jeez.
He's just petting the goat. You don't yell at me.
Yeah, God.
So, looking at your childhood and your time in the military, what do you think challenged you the most or tested you the most?
Honestly, I think I did crazier shit in my childhood than the military, and I'm not trying to say that like I didn't do crazy shit or like, when I was building the farm, I never had indirect fire dropping into my
Right.
camp, 30 meters away or some shit from Russian 108s, like. Or whatever, recoilless, I think they were using primarily. But like, I don't know. By that time, that just wasn't really a concern for me. Like, so I think the childhood was
Rougher.
was rougher. Not that like my parents were bad, or that like, I don't know. You just did more extreme shit. I felt like.
Was there anything that happened in your childhood that changed your viewpoint on things or kind of put you down a different path?
I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that probably, I don't know if it really, things have an effect on you either way. I mean, there's all kinds of things in my childhood that just,
what's the
are
one thing that
interesting.
sticks with you?
Well, so most of the childhood is just like hard work, or like, you're driving old equipment and it's breaking
And you're
down.
like 7.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're
Combine
driving,
driver.
you're driving a dually tractor down the road with a
Right.
big wide digger that covers 2 lanes as a 2-lane road, and like, yeah, you're like 10 years old. But like all of that was just kind of like life. I mean, one big event that like I see it as like positive, but like maybe it changed my perspective on life a lot was I think when I was 3, I fell into our pool and drowned. And then like when I was in the pool, I was too young to understand what like drowning was. So my eyes were open, I was breathing in like it was normal, and I just remember like being under the water, the rays of sunlight coming through, and it just was like the most peaceful moment that I remember in my entire life. And then the next thing I remember is puking my guts out on, on our deck and being like, "What the heck? What just happened?"
Was it like a trip kind of feeling, or just peaceful in general?
Just really peaceful. Like maybe you could say there was like a slight amount of euphoria to it, which might just be the oxygen loss. But
Brain cells dying.
Yeah. But like I don't remember like, you know, most people like when they're drowning or whatever, you watch that in the movies, like they're like choking or whatever. And like I just wasn't. Like
I always think of Mario when in Nintendo 6.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
That's in my mind that's drowning.
That's drowning. Oh no, I just remember like it was so peaceful and the beautiful sun waves just kind of like coming through the water. And like I don't know, after that point I can't think to another time that's been like peaceful.
Have you had a psychedelic experience with like mushrooms or DMT or like ibogaine, anything like that?
So I want to see how I go about doing this. When I joined the military, I kind of was on this mental like trip where I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to become an Army Ranger, and I'm not coming back home until I'm an Army Ranger. Like, that was my mentality when I left.
Right.
And I got to basic training, and they're like, oh, fill this shit out and book this flight. And I'm like, what? And so my basic training went over holiday block leave for Christmas for basic training, I guess.
Right.
And so like a month and a half or 2 months in the basic, we had to leave and go back home for 20 days. Yeah.
And that was just the winter break? Or?
We just happened to be like that basic that went over a holiday block leave and was like almost half and half. And I guess the way they handled it back then was just they're going on holiday block leave. So I like went home for 20 days. And
about a month off of basic. That's not a bad vacation.
It wasn't, but I was so pissed. I wanted to be done with basic. I wanted to be done with airborne. I wanted to be in RAS, but like, you know, I wanted to make it.
They're just hitting the pause button on
you.
Yeah.
And then I'm going back. I don't got a unit, you know, all I got is like a PFC rank. I'm a fuzzy, like, and so like, it was actually really depressing because like here I like straight up told some people like, I'm not coming back until I'm a Ranger. And then I'm not a Ranger. You're
back.
Yeah. And so, like, it kind of threw me at a low when, like, I didn't have that Ranger contract yet either because I picked it up in OSIC. And so...
You're coming back to people like, what happened, Mr. Ranger?
Exactly. So I wasn't defeated, but it just, like, I was so pissed off and down. So I happened to be hanging out with a buddy at one of those nights, and, like, he happened to have some weed, and so he was like, oh, do you want some weed? And I was like... I'm gonna have a drug test when I go back, and he's 100%. He's like, yeah, but like if you just smoke a little bit, it's not gonna bother you. Yeah, well, so I took a hit or two, and that's all I was gonna do. And like I never smoked weed before that. Like I don't know why I was making that bad decision, but I think it was just like you're pretty messed up when you leave with the mentality of I'm not coming back till I make it. And so
when you're young too,
you're
gonna do stupid shit.
So I took like 2 hits, and then probably 20 minutes later, I started to see like things in like little digital blocks, and I'm like,
oh damn.
To push forward on the story, turns out that his brother cut the weed with like a synthetic.
Oh, like
kind of like the jewelry cleaner type of shit. There's this other stuff that was going around.
like
It was
salvia or something.
yeah, worse than salvia.
Oh God.
Yeah, way worse. Like they used to sell it like in those weird stores as like incense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that sounds
yeah,
like salvia
yeah.
or
Yeah,
damn. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Somebody
so, like-
watching will probably be like, oh yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so a couple hits of that, and like he's driving his truck,
Oh God.
and then like he's just like kind of out of it too. But I think he had it before, so I think he was like used to it. So like somehow he was able to stay on the road. But I'm seeing things in pixels. I'm
Yep.
watching the road, and it looks like it's a hamster wheel. It's just like the same road, and we're just like going on it forever. And then he hits this big puddle out like in the backwoods, and it doesn't look like it's just a puddle and some water coming up over the vehicle. It looks like a tidal wave, and I'm like, fuck. and so good that you brought this up actually. So right 3, I drown. And then here I'm like 20. And so I'm having this like weird trip, and I start to see these weird lines go past. And then like I start to see like patterns in my life, like the road that we would drive from our house to like the farm or something like that.
Right.
And so all of a sudden everything starts to go faster and faster. And the lines are the lines are squiggling more and more, and like the road sign is starting to jive, and I'm starting to realize like these lines are resembling like symbols in my life, like just on this complete trip, like out of it.
Sounds like it.
Like I guess I was like incapacitated for like 45 minutes just on this separate
damn,
trip.
that's a
Yeah,
long-
I talked to whoever else was in the vehicle at the time, and they're like, we thought you were dead. And maybe that's what did this, because all of a sudden it's fast forwarding like this, right? I'm like literally watching, I guess figuratively watching, because it's not like quite my entire life, but like literally watching my life go before my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts to like zoom out, and it's getting smaller and smaller, this like circle that was this fast forwarding like flash of life before my eyes. It's all black around the circle. It just gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it's pretty much just a pinprint, and then like you can't see it after a while. And like as it was getting smaller, I was just like, huh, I must be dead. I just watched my life flash before my eyes, and I guess I'm dead. Like, I guess this is it. And like when I realized that, it was this just surreal realization. At first, I was like, I was pissed.
Like, this is it?
Yeah, exactly. I was pissed. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I have so much more to do. Mind you, wasn't a ranger yet, all that other shit.
Right,
but
right.
like, I have so much more to do. I have so much potential, all that shit. And then after a while, I finally was like, you know what? Well, I guess that was my run. Like, it is what it is.
Right.
Like there's nothing else you can do. Like, fuck it. And then I kind of popped out of it, and it was like pixels and stuff.
It was
and
just
like,
your eyes were closed.
yeah, maybe.
I guess I'm dead now.
Yeah, I'm giving up.
Grandma, is that you?
Shit. But yeah, so super crazy. I'd never do that shit again.
No.
No,
what,
not
what
that
about
shit.
like mushrooms or?
Mushrooms or ibogaine.
Have you heard about ibogaine?
Oh yeah, ibogaine and ayahuasca, and so like mushrooms, like they got the whole like they're trying to do the prescription like microdosing mushrooms and
Oh, yeah.
stuff. I tried that a little bit, but they didn't seem to really affect me.
No.
Like no, and yeah, mushrooms aren't quite my cup of tea. I have a buddy that can hook me up with an organization that they won't fly you there, but they'll fly you. They'll pay for like the resort and like the ibogaine treatment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a nonprofit that helps Spec Ops veterans.
Dude, that's
And-
sick, man.
Yeah, so I've considered doing it. I have a few buddies that have done ibogaine and ayahuasca, and
I want to try both of those.
yeah.
So if you hear of any places that are like
Places-
at least
Well,
combat
there's-
vet or something like
well,
that.
isn't
I'd
there
do.
isn't Vets? Vets is one of those that I think it does ayahuasca.
I don't know. I'd be down. I
yeah.
keep talking to I know a couple people in that realm. I know one guy who I'm gonna have on the podcast in a week. Who he works with Valor Mines, and they are like the first company or group that in Colorado that received a certification or like the licensing, whatever they need to make it and grow it and sell it and stuff in Colorado. And I'm super excited to talk to him just because I really want to step into the psychedelic side of things. And especially with all the stuff I've heard about Ibogaine and the positives of it, especially for people that, you know, are suffering with PTSD or TBIs or whatever it could be.
Addiction doesn't matter. So, like, what I know of it comes from my buddy, and then I've done some kind of research on the side. So there's like Ibogaine and ayahuasca. And ayahuasca, I believe, is a mix between two plants. One plant is designed to downregulate an enzyme in your body, I believe, and then that allows the DMT or whatever from the other plant to be absorbed. And so it's like a lot of plants have the whatever nootropic compound, and like we eat foods and vegetables that actually are that compound, but we have that enzyme in our stomach that breaks it down. So the other plant stops that enzyme, and then the other, you know, one plant has the nootropic, the other one has the enzyme inhibitor, it's called, I guess.
I've heard a lot of people throw up or shit themselves or something.
Yeah,
like, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. But then ayahuasca, I think it's its own plant, and Ibogaine. Ibogaine, I think it's its own plant.
I actually have a video
on Ibogaine,
specifically on Ibogaine.
Yeah, Ibogaine's crazy. It's supposed to hit like 56 or something neurotransmitters.
Yeah, these guys did like a short video on it. Turn it up.
Where does it come from?
Ibogaine is an alkaloid that is derived from 3 West African botanical sources. The mother plant is the iboga root. The iboga root is indigenous to West Africa, primarily Gabon. It translates also into Cameroon and other places in close proximity. It has been used in West African rituals for a group of folks called the Bouidis for centuries. As part of their spiritual and cultural traditions. I learned recently, and I can't pronounce the exact word, the Bouidis treat the iboga root as the mother pearl of their entire civilization. And when it comes to its use in cultural and religious ceremony, they have a word that they use to describe it, which translates in English to eaten God.
Wow.
It has been recognized as a profound facilitator of an internal experience that has profound impact.
It looks like he's on a little bit of Ibogaine right now.
Yeah, right, dude. Like having a dude with the most redneck accent explain psychedelics. All right, and then you go on a trip. I tell you what. No, it's. I keep telling Marshall that he needs to figure out how to do something like this so that we can dress him up as a shaman.
Oh my
like
goodness.
with face paint and everything.
Oh.
Have him sit and wait in the corner. Like,
you
how
know,
was your trip?
I was reading about it. So there's actually a church in Florida that you have to go with a member your first time, but I think they do ayahuasca rituals. And I think it costs money or something, but at least like it's Florida.
All of these ones cost like a crazy amount of money. Like,
yeah.
I mean, not crazy as in like, you know, thousands, but you know, if you're, I like finding programs that obviously, because I'm a cheapskate, that are free for veterans, you know, and I got bills, I got child support and alimony I got to pay. Like I can't, the wife's not going to let me throw like $1,000 on, oh, so you can have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Go get high.
Yeah. Seriously, like shame me, make me feel like Tally from South Park. Like,
oh God.
But I've heard a couple people talk about doing Ibogaine and then doing ayahuasca or DMT like a day or two afterwards, and
Yeah.
that really unlocking
Yeah,
whatever issues that they're dealing with, and like
that's what my
make it
buddy.
a great experience.
That's what my buddy was telling me about, like the one he went to that I forgot the nonprofit, but it like you have to have 2 deployments and you have to have been special operations to qualify for that nonprofit.
Right.
But the one they sent them through was like ibogaine, and like you had your own mat, and doctors were like watching you, and you had like a blood pressure cup on, and like
Yeah, they put
like
it in like
probes
an
and
IV
shit.
or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it was like high end, and they're doing like science grade research, like
Hell
in
yeah.
some other country. But like then like the next day you take something else, and like so the first day taking the ibogaine, it just you end up getting trashed, and then the second day I forgot what it was that he took, but like then you feel like $1 million, and he said like all the shit he's dealing with or dealt with, and all that, like he get TBI, PTSD up the yin yang, like almost all that shit just like was gone, or like pretty much not there. And he said it lasted for about a year and a half before it started to like fade.
Right.
But like a complete mental reset.
Well, I know the
Yeah.
ibogaine trip is like 12 hours long or something. Like
Yeah,
it goes
so
for
so it's I think he was saying like up to 36. So it's like,
Jeez Louise.
yeah, if you handle psychedelics well, then you're gonna be out at like 12 or 18 hours, and if you don't, then you might be a day and a half at this shit. Like,
I keep telling everybody I talk to about like wanting to get more into psychedelics. I keep telling that I want that experience. It was in an episode of like Adventure Time or something where the character goes into a pillow fort and he lives this entire life with a pillow family.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
got a pillow wife and children and all that. And then he comes out and the dog character's like, "Oh, you've been in there for like an hour. How was it?" And he's like, "I was only in there for an hour." Like I want to.
oh, if you want that, then you should just do DMT. Like, there's guys that they
Point me in the right direction, dude.
I mean, you could probably buy it off the black market pretty easy. Like it'd be cheap. Like kids are putting DMT into vape pens and offering them to people at parties just to fuck with them. Like
That's dark.
that's dark. But like, could you imagine taking a hit of a vape pen?
Where's
and
Billy?
then you pass out for like 10 minutes. You think you lived an entire different life. And
Oh
then
my
you
God.
wake up at the same party, just like.
He's gone. He is, but he's right. No. Metaphorically, he's gone.
He'll be
Like,
back in a few minutes.
yeah. God, dude.
Waking up, you got a whole entire family that lived underneath the ocean. Like,
Jane, where's Jane? Like, good God.
your girlfriend's pissed at you. No, I mean there's other shit too that's coming out and that's new. Like there's a lot of research chemicals out there that actually people can buy and try if they want. I'm not advocating you shouldn't be taking research chemicals, but there's research compounds that you can easily buy. Like you can go online and just buy them. And some of them are like totally legal and used as like medicine in other countries. So like one is like veterans, we get PTSD, we go to the VA, and like what happens? And it's like, well, here's your pills.
Yeah, here's a bunch of pain
Go talk to a
meds.
counselor for 10, and then we hope you go commit suicide because it's cheaper that way.
You like SSRIs, right?
Yeah. Oh, you
That's
don't.
the first thing
you-
they tried giving me.
You don't like SSRIs? Oh, we'll give you SNRI or whatever. SSNRI, like a neurotropic, whatever. Yeah, that's the first thing they do, SSRIs, and then we'll try this other one, and finally it's like,
And that's all it is. It's a guessing game of,
Yeah.
and like, because there's some good psychiatrists and therapists out
Yeah.
there, but like, a lot of this is just guessing.
yeah.
It's let's
Yeah.
try this and see if it works, and then if that doesn't work, we'll try this.
And it's all shitty too. Like, shoot, you don't know how it's gonna affect you for 30 days apparently. because
Side
it
effects
takes-
may include
erectile dysfunction, seeing dots,
anal bleeding.
Yeah.
Like, just talking really fast.
Yeah, you
with
might
all
put
the
on
horrible
might
things.
put on weight, and then that'll give you more depression because you're already fat, and now you're getting fatter. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
And then that's gonna make you more depressed.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, or put more pressure on your bad discs and whatever that we messed up. Like, the whole thing is just it's a racket. But like, yeah, there's more things that you can like veterans can try. I'm not saying should try. I'm not telling anybody to take these, but like, so for example, Russia has some cool compounds that you may or may not be able to buy as a research compound. But basically, like, one is called Selank, and so like you get anxiety, right, from PTSD, or you just got anxiety, depression, whatever.
Right.
It's been a while since I studied this compound, but you can inhale it, so it's a nasal thing you get as, and like it'll cut out a lot of your anxiety. Like the first time,
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, the first time you ever like, and the side effects are like nothing. Like the only side effect I'll say it has is the first time you take it, you're probably gonna lay down and take a nap, because all that anxiety you're holding on your shoulders is all of a sudden gone. Like it just. Like, all of a sudden your neck, like, pops, and you're like, no more tension. Okay, I'm really relaxed. I'm going to go take a nap. But, like,
I've
after
never
you,
heard about
yeah, I'd tell everyone if they try it, like, take it before you go to bed, you know? And that, you know, it doesn't take 30 days to judge your tolerance, and, like, the half-life is, like, 4 hours, so it's not going to stick around and mess you up for days, you know? So... You know, it's just the easy way that, like, hey, if you're dealing with anxiety and shit, and, like, you're trying to manage work, and you got kids and whatever, you got this important meeting, like, you could take some Selank, go into the meeting, and be
only
calm.
stuff in the U.S. I've heard of that helps with anxiety and stuff like that. It's more of like a, kind of like an energy drink. It's cocaine.
For a second, I was like, did you? Like,
No, I know. I'm gonna cut that one.
no, that's good. I mean, shit. On my first deployment, I had a team leader say, like, don't worry about all these fucking supplements and shit. He's like, none of this shit really is proven or matters. They're all sales gimmick. He's like, the only 2 supplements that work in the world are creatine monohydrate and cocaine. And he's like, are you going to do cocaine? I was like, no. He's like, then just stick to creatine monohydrate and get enough protein.
Dude, there were so many guys on deployment that were taking gear. Like,
oh, God.
getting jacked.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I mean, dude, I went from 260. I was a fat fuck before I deployed because I had gotten, like, fucking depressed. Like, there was so much I wish I had done differently when I had gone in, like, just my entire time in service. I wish I had done a lot of stuff differently, and, you know, if I went in now, it would be so different, you know, that kind of view on it. But I went overseas at like 250, 260, came back at like 215, nice fit,
got
looking
leaned
good,
up, like,
got leaned up.
No
big
beer
time, man.
overseas for the most part. So.
Oh yeah, well I mean all they had was that near beer shit.
Oh yeah, the
that,
NA.
ugh,
Yeah. I think I opened up one can of those, one can of that, and took a sip and just threw it away.
Yeah, no. I think they just gave us that in case there were any, like, you know, alcoholics in the military. God forbid. But
Dude. Yeah. No, guys were going overseas and just getting yoked. I went overseas. My both trips about at 200 pounds, which is a little heavy for me. But I think first trip I came back 178, and then that second trip, because I just was working out so much and running so much, I went over at like 200, and I came back at 168.
oh damn.
I dropped like 32 pounds. I was just ripped and like in the best shape of my life, probably. Like, sure, maybe if I was at 200 pounds and just muscle, I could, you know, lift a little more.
Right.
But like, I was at like Ranger ripped, where it's like run the 12 mile ruck.
I can do all the pull-ups.
Yeah, run the 12-mile ruck. Well, I was planning on going to Ranger school, so I was all set up for it. But yeah, getting back to gear, like you start to see it first deployment. Like, I'm only with these guys for like 3 months on the train up, 4 months, and then we deploy. And, you know, you got your tabbed E4s, which is, you got to have a Ranger tab to be the E4 Mafia in Ranger Battalion. But the tabbed E4 Mafia, they're all like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get roped. Yeah, they're like, guy got the juice. Like, you start hearing it, and you're like,
Trimbolone sandwiches.
yeah, exactly, just stupid shit. And so
D-ball and-
I happen to have like a decent team leader that I'm friends with, even though you're not supposed to be friends with team leaders because
Right.
you're not tabbed. So, but either way, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, aren't steroids bad for your body? He's like, yeah. I was like, so why are all these guys doing it? Like, is it just like to get jacked for the girls or something?
Yeah.
Like, because like in my mind, I'm thinking, you put on all this muscle, and then like that's just more weight to carry. Like there's a
That
happy
is a way of
medium.
looking
There's
at
a
it, yeah.
happy medium, to like what a guy should be. And sometimes you can get outside of that happy medium and still do good if you're training right. But, like really, there's a happy medium. Like if you're 5'10", probably 175, 180 is a good spot. Like for the shit you're doing, like
Right.
just saying. So I asked the team leader, like, why are these guys doing gear if it's gonna hurt them? And like in my mind, I thought like make them worse at their job. And he's like, well, it all depends on how you do it. He's like, sure, maybe these things might hurt you, maybe not.
Right.
But like if you're too exhausted out on the target,
Yeah.
like you're dead.
Well, the recovery with it,
Yeah, the
is
recovery.
amazing.
You're-
But
yeah.
a lot of guys will abuse it and
Yep.
destroy their hormone system.
Yep.
And now their T levels are
Are just junk.
yeah.
But
And
but-
they're like, now I'm depressed. Now I'm
Yeah,
this and that. And
yeah.
it's like, yeah, dude,
yeah.
you were taking a crazy amount of gear.
Well, yeah, and like it's one thing if you're taking something like testosterone and you're just spiking your testosterone and just having a high level of testosterone and throwing on some lean mass that way. But it's another thing if you're like taking horse steroids. Like how is that? Either way. So like the team leader's perspective was really good because he's like, well, train for battle and then use the gear to be even better. Train for battle. Like
Yeah.
that was his concept. Like you're not putting on all this beach body muscle. It's like you're gonna put on lean muscle faster, so then you can run faster, fight harder, and shoot better. And like that mentality, I was like, huh. I never did gear, but I was like, I can see that. That makes sense.
Right.
And he was on gear, but like,
yeah.
but
right.
he was also doing it the right way. I think he was doing like 350 milligrams of test like a week, which is not that big of a deal. Like
compared to what a
TRT is
lot
like
of
200, 250.
Yeah.
And like, a lot of guys would be running like 300, 500 milligrams of test and then like 200 milligrams of like trembolone. Well,
Yeah.
actually, that'd be bad. That'd be, people do it though.
Yeah, that and D-ball. A lot of guys that I knew were taking that and trim, and a couple of them were taking some tests, but I mean, but they were taking a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you got to think about the recovery. That's the positive out of it, but also like, what do you think's going to happen after you stop taking? Like, you come off of it. Are you also taking estrogen? Are you taking other
your
things?
your
that are-
AIs, your
like-
estrogen inhibitors or whatever, and
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
are you taking all this other stuff that's going to help regulate your hormones so that as you come off it, you can taper off? And guys don't think about that,
Nope.
and they're just
Nope.
like, "Grr."
plus they don't realize like the half life on a lot of those compounds.
Yeah.
Like undecnate, I think.
Ooh,
I think it's like 30 some days, the
Mm.
half life. So it's like you're shooting up these big amounts, and then like the downside is like it's gonna be in your freaking system for like 3 months, 4 months before you can have a chance at getting your like testicles to start working again. And then like you're not gonna be feeling good the entire time. You're only
Yeah.
gonna be feeling good for part of that 3-month downcline. And there's not too much shit you can do. Like
yeah,
I guess you could try to do like lower ester testosterone to offset that downward twist,
Yeah.
but that's still jacked up. And then like when your testes are shut down, there's always that chance they don't start back up, or if they do, they're not going to come back at 100%.
yeah.
But
And then you're going to be depressed with
low T, and then you're going to have to be on a TRT
for the rest of your
the
life.
rest of your life.
Yeah, that
And-
part's depressing.
And guess what? The VA is not going to pay for that shit because
Yeah.
because unless you're under 300, I think it's 300 nanograms per deciliter,
yeah.
they won't pay for TRT. And
And even then,
and-
they're only going to give you enough to get above that.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
to bring it up to 500, which depending on your age, like you probably would be really happy at 800 or 1,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys that they check their free test, like really good athletes, and some of them are at like 1,300 just natural, which is a lot.
And let's say you're a vet and you're dealing with these issues, and you don't have that extra money to throw at those things.
No.
There are programs out there specific to veterans that will help with that, and they'll actually put you on a good regiment. They'll do the tests, blood tests, all that. Go get a C&P exam. Go start the process with the benefits. Use that money towards making yourself more motivated and get your levels where they need to be, get your health where it needs to be, so that you're not depressed sitting at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking at a bottle.
Yeah, if the VA doesn't always cover it and you can't qualify for a nonprofit, I think there's a nonprofit for Spec Ops boys that does TRT.
There's a lot of guys that don't even use the VA healthcare. They just use their VA benefits to pay for their own
healthcare. Yeah, because they hate the VA, which I totally get that. I make the system work for me because it's just, I find it so counterintuitive, and then the VA won't even be a second payer. Like if you get your own healthcare and you have like say 50%, so the VA should be covering your healthcare, like they won't be the second payer. Now Champ VA, which you're at 100%, so your wife should have Champ VA.
Mm-hmm.
They're second payer. So if she has her own private, then they should be paying the copays. But
yeah, she has all that. That was the biggest motivator for me to get that information out to other vets. Was after I got the 100% P&T, I was like, dude, I didn't know half of this stuff that's available to me now.
Yeah,
other people need to know this, and even if you're not gonna get 100%, still, like, let's say you got 50%, you can get DV plates. You can get all these other things that I like at nauseum tell people on the podcast. Like, there's so much out there that you don't even think of that could help make your life that much easier. Whether it's healthcare, free healthcare, whether it's get therapy, go talk to other veterans that might be going through what you're going through, or just having people to talk to makes such a difference, because the last thing you want is a guy sitting at home by himself just dwelling.
It's the program system that we signed into, and we gotta pursue the benefits or we don't have our benefits, but it's something that the taxpayer says that they want veterans to have. That's why Congress always votes to keep our benefits. It's part of our contract. The people want it. Veterans are the worst because they don't know if they want it. Like, the people want to take care of us. Like screw whoever is going to be like, wait, you're disabled, but like you're in shape. You're 100% disabled, but you're in shape. And it's like, yeah, I am.
My brain's
according to
all
the VA,
fucked up.
I'm not drawing Social Security. You know what I mean? This is the system they gave us. I worked within the system with what I got. And I ended up where I am. And if you want to judge me, then
not all disabilities are visible type issues.
Oh, correct.
Like, my PTSD claim is 70%.
Yeah.
Like, just that in itself should tell people you like that in like 10, 10, 10, 20, 20, 20, 40. You know what I mean? Like
the milking all the way to that 100%.
But not all your issues have to be, oh, he can't walk or he's missing a leg or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it could be mental health issues that a veteran might be dealing with that put him at whatever it may be, whatever his percentage is. Like, it's not just, oh, he got over on the system or whatever it may be. Like, he might have gone through something or seen something or whatever it may be that put him where he is today.
Yeah.
And you can't just look at somebody and say, oh, well, he looks fine or she looks fine. Well, you never know what somebody's going through.
The biggest thing that VA disability is supposed to be compensating you for, if you look at the law or whatever, is your ability to work and then your interactions with family and friends. Like, it's compensating for loss in those two areas. Like, that's really what they're looking at when they do your C&P evaluation. And so people, when they look at the well, like, oh, my joint hurts, but like I only got like 20%, but like he got 70% for PTSD or TBI, but like he seems fine. And it's like, well, the way they're comping you is like how you're able to work or like relationships, right? It's like if nothing changed in your life, you're not mentally messed up and your ankle's a little sore. Are you really that messed up as far as work goes, or as far as, and I don't know if this system's perfect, but this is the way they look at it. That's why the ratings are that way. Where like if you got PTSD, guess what? You're jacking up your relationships. And like, dude, if I would have had a little worse day when that boss was telling me, like, this is a combat zone, I probably would have jumped up. I probably would have said something to the fact, like, what the fuck? Who died and made you like a combat veteran? Like, but like your ankle, your sore ankle or hurt back isn't gonna make you respond that way. Something like a mental health issue is, or
the shit that goes through my head sometimes makes me feel, until I spoke with a therapist within the VA, the things that would go through my head sometimes before talking to somebody and explaining it and having them talk to me really scared me, in the sense that I'm thinking I'm crazy because, who else would think these things? And, why am I sitting here thinking, oh, you know what? I could take everybody out in here, like, just with my bare hands. Like, not like, oh, I'm a badass kung fu fighter, but like, man, if I took that piece off of that guy's hip, like, I bet you I could do this, that, and the other, and no one could do a thing. Like,
yeah,
it's
It's
when you're just sitting there thinking things like that, and you don't have an understanding on why, and you don't have an understanding on how you can, like, understand why your brain is all jacked up. Not that I'm a fucking psychopath, but you know what I mean? Like, going to the VA and talking to people about those things can help enlighten you to why you search your entire house every time you come home with a gun. Why you feel like you need to go conceal carry every time you go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a mindset that has been created by things that might have happened to you while you were in. And just talking to somebody about it can help open those doors and make it easier.
Yeah, no, definitely go talk to somebody. I usually mess up my therapist's head because, like, I'll tell him stories like the Afghani one I told you, and then, like, similar, I'm looking at it and I'm going, like, this place is so fucking insecure. Like
Yeah, that too.
And not again, like, I want to do this or I'm so proud that I think I can do this. It's just like, there's a flaw here. Or like,
I wonder what if.
Yeah, but it's also like at the same time, or like I'll find myself like thinking about how I'll like attack something like a building, like just for no reason. But like one of my issues is kind of like, well, as I see, like, not all civilians, because some civilians are pretty squared away, or like they're cops and they're somewhat like resilient, but a lot of civilians is like sheep. And then, like, the soldier's always the sheepdog. But, like, in Ranger Battalion, we were kind of like the wolves. Like, all we did was hunt. It wasn't like we're protecting. It was like we're just going out and taking.
Right.
And, like, there's this mentality where it's like we don't have the equipment or the stuff we need. Like, go steal it from the big army.
There you go.
like literally.
You're not stealing. It's tactically acquiring. Okay?
Yeah. But it was like it was this mentality. Like, I didn't submit to it, but it was like, we're the best, and if we need it, we're gonna take it. Like, that was it. And then, like, on target, it was just like you're stalking your prey. Like, you're in the middle of the night. Like, they literally called us the Green-Eyed Devils overseas. We'd show up in the middle of the night and just, like, tear shit apart, like, fuck stuff up.
How terrifying was that? Have you heard? You know who Shane Gillis is?
Not off the top of my head.
Oh, dude,
I probably do, but
he's hilarious. He's talking about let me get these. You got some nice old fashioned. What is it?
It's a bullet bourbon old fashioned. It's just a premix.
Dude,
So
Let me
It's-
grab.
it's some
I'm
good
gonna
shit.
grab some ice. This is all melted. Go. But I got a question for you when I get back.
okay.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming out here, man.
Oh yeah. No, I've been wanting to do a podcast or something like this for a little while. Not so much because I got the craziest story and
Ooh, that's good.
killed Bin Laden or some shit like that, but
So
just-
there I was.
just there's a different point of view that, especially like with my experience with the VA, and then just like I don't know, it's just such a interesting way everything went, in my life. So
What do you think is the most important thing veterans should know in regards to C&P exams and benefits after getting out of the military? What do you think should be the first and last thing veterans should hear right after getting out?
well, I mean, I guess it just really depends. I mean, if the veteran, like, as soon as it comes to VA disability, the first thing out of someone's mouth is you need to file an intent to file. I think that's the first thing that a veteran should hear. The military nowadays, like, I feel like they're getting better at explaining, like, somewhat what disability is, what the VA is, stuff like that, like some benefits and connection. And I feel like people are more plugged in online than like when I got out. I mean, but they still did offer, like when I was out processing, but you can file an intent to file up to 180 days before you leave the military. It's not gonna start paying any sooner, but it's just a way to like secure any loopholes. Like you don't really need to file it, but you might as well file it and just have it backdated, and then you have a year to file your claim.
If you could explain a little bit, or go a little bit more in depth in the intent to file, if you were trying to explain that to a new veteran, how would you go about that?
Well, first
step.
First step.
Yeah.
Pause the video and file an intent to file. Okay. First step. Like, doesn't matter who you are. Long as you're a veteran or a soldier who's 180 days or less from getting out, like, go file an intent to file. It takes 5-10 minutes. You go on your computer. You end up on e-benefits. You log in with your ID.me account, and
You can do it before you get out, or
up to 180 days before you get out.
gotcha.
It doesn't matter that much, that 180 days, but I'd still just do it because paperwork gets lost. Like, people get screwed still.
Right.
It's a small percentage, but I would just do it. So
And
that's
you-
the first thing you're gonna do.
You have to do it for each specific
No,
body part, or
nope. So you don't have to tell the government what you're filing on. All it is basically, hey, I'm planning on filing on some VA disability or disabilities in the next year. That's basically all you're saying. Like, if you don't file on anything, no harm, no foul. The government's not going to be like, oh, you're lying to us. You didn't file. That's all.
Right.
Like, it's just a notification, but it locks in your back pay, right?
Nice.
So like, say you're like, oh, I know everything I'm going to file on when I leave the military, so I don't need an intent to file because, like, I'm going to file on everything, right? Well, guess what? I had neck pain. About a year later, I find out I got compressed discs,
Ooh.
right? Like, if I had filed an intent to file and I was, like, aware enough to file on my compressed discs, I didn't file on them
Oh,
a year out.
no.
Yeah,
Did you lose out on that?
Oh yeah, and they still messed up that claim. I got a nexus letter because like I had been out for a while until I finally filed on my discs. I got
That
a nexus
sucks.
letter from a doctor, and it said not as likely as not, which is like the magic phrase. It said more likely, so highly likely. I think that was the phrasing. Highly likely is what the doctor said. This disability is highly likely connected to raised time in service, whatever. Well, the VA threw out his nexus letter Because,
And how hard was it to get that?
Well, luckily, the doctor that I was seeing for my neck injections wrote it for me. So I just asked him, but he was a private doctor. I was sent caring in the community. If I was with the VA doctor, they wouldn't have wrote it, you know. But yeah, you can always pay for a Nexus letter, but you got to always make your own decisions. And then there's scammy companies. But yeah, so the intent to file, I think the biggest thing is you just lock in your back date, and whether or not you got a claim to file, like I tell guys to file an intent to file every year. Like even if you're 100%, sometimes filing an intent to file might make sense because there are other increases you can get to your like VA pay. Like you can get things called special monthly compensations that go above 100%. So if you don't want to know if you qualify for an SMC or if you get something else connected and qualify for it then, and you might be able to connect it, maybe file an intent to file, take the 5-10 minutes, and then go look up SMC. Like,
well, you were also talking about categories changing and disability claims changing as far as like requirements that you might have met previously, but they're changing things now. And
yeah. So, well, the grading scales can always be changed, right? If something gets changed and you're connected at whatever percent, you're grandfathered in on that old scale, right? They should not reevaluate you just because you were on that old scale. But if something changes to where they think you would go up or down based on that old scale, then they could reevaluate you, and they would do it off the new scale. So that's something to keep in mind. But also, like, what veterans, again, like the intent to file, you file the intent to file, and if there's a schedule change, like the grading criteria change, and it's actually more in your favor, then, like, you could put in for an increase, and, you know, maybe your PTSD goes from 50 to 70, right? Or say your PTSD is at 70, and according to the new schedule, it could be at 100, but you're already at 100% P&T, right? Well, if you put in for an increase after that new schedule goes in, you get the 100% for PTSD. All you need is other ratings that add up to or equal 60%, then that 100% on PTSD, and now you qualify for, I believe, I'll probably get it wrong, SMCL, which basically replaces your pay, but it basically gives you, from your 100%, it gives you roughly like another $430, $450 a month.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So like almost everybody could file an intent to file and probably benefit from like educating themselves about the system. And if it's not like this year, it's just next year, you know? So the schedules that I know are supposed to change, and it keeps getting rolled down the road, are the big ones are sleep apnea and mental health. So
yeah, I was telling you I had taken the overnight study and all that, and they gave me the sleep apnea machine.
Yep.
But I never got a claim for it or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think when I had originally done that, I was under the assumption that, oh, well, since they said I have sleep apnea, then it's just on there.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. But
Nope. Just because the VHA, the Veterans Health Administration, says you have something, doesn't mean the Veterans Benefit Administration is going to do shit about it. They're not going to just connect you.
They don't communicate?
So they don't. I mean, the only time they communicate is to pull your file from the VHA. The VBA, to deny you benefits, will pull your file from the VHA and be like, you said this to this doctor, you know, like, or this doctor. Yeah.
Have you heard watched any of the new videos with I think his name's Doug Collins? He's the new VA.
Yeah,
he's the guy running the VA right now.
Yeah, I heard him talking with Sean Ryan, and
that was a good episode.
I thought that was a good episode. I kind of wanted to be on like that show, with him and Doug because like
You don't want to be on this show?
well, no, I wanted to be on this show too, but like no. I just like while I was
Right.
watching it, I was like, fuck, I wish
You
I would
wanna be in the
there.
corner,
Like, yeah,
like,
oh no, not in the corner. I wanted to be in that
this.
conversation, like
Don't forget this.
because like Sean Ryan was like, I am your target market because I'm like the veteran that won't go to the VA. Like I take my VA disability and I pay for my private health care. Like how can you make this system better and draw us in and like actually
Right.
bring us in? I was like, one, the secretary of the VA, like sure he's probably worked with the VA some, but he doesn't know shit about like what everyday veterans going through. And then like two, Sean Ryan's not dealing with the VA, so he doesn't know shit about what everyday veterans are going through. He just hears shit.
Right.
So like me having surgeries done through the VA, like having to get the VHA to diagnose, to then get the notes, to then get the shit connected that should have been connected
Yeah.
a while ago. Like it's all part of it. I've been through every single part of the VHA and like, or almost every part. And then like, the VBA too, and so I was like, well, man, I could be in that conversation and be like, you should be doing this, Doug.
Yeah.
Like
Having to actually go through those experiences definitely gives you a more in-depth understanding of how that VA works, so that which is why I'm loving how you and I are both all about telling other veterans, dude, if you haven't done this, you need to make sure that you do an intent to file.
Yep.
Just go to the VA, find out what benefits are available to you, because
Yep.
you'd be an idiot not to take advantage of it. And it's not, when I say take advantage, I'm saying every time you go to the VA, you're telling that VA there's another veteran that might need help, and it's going to help allocate more money to that local VA, which is going to help, Jim Bob, who might have had his legs blown off or something,
Yeah.
and help build him a new ramp
Yep.
on his front porch or his back deck, whatever it may be, or get a new
Yep.
motorized wheelchair.
Yep. And like don't go there for like issues that are completely stupid, right? But like for the most part, if you got an issue, go there, right? But the more that veterans go to the VA and they interact with the system, the more benefits they connect. The more veterans that go to voc rehab, and I don't care, get your freaking MBA.
Yeah.
Like
Seriously.
get a master's degree. Like shit. I mean,
I want
guys,
a doctorate.
some guys have used it, for a doctorate or a law degree after a master's. Like,
Hey.
Another cute thing about 100% is while you're going to college, if you're 100% P&T, you can pull out federal student loans, and whenever you're done with college, they just get wiped away. Yeah. So
Come again.
yeah. So long as you're going to like a college that you can get federal student loans at, you can pull out all the federal student loans that they'll let you. A master's degree or a graduate degree is better because they allow you to pull out more loans. So like I forgot what it was for like a 4-year, but it's like, I don't know, like $12,000 a year. But like for a master's degree, depending on the college you go, like right now going to CSU, I pull out $20,000 a semester.
Huh.
Like
I didn't know that.
not gonna get taxed, not gonna, it's just, there's guys that have docked up like 350,000 of student loans, getting their doctor or getting their
Since
legal
me
degree.
and you talked about it, I hit up my buddy James, new friend that I made at one of our Northern Colorado Veteran Network events, and he works with Ames or works for Ames.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if have you met him before, James Spawn or Spoon, or I don't know how to say his last name. Cool dude. But he's like, dude, come down, we'll figure out what's available to you, because it started getting the wheels turning after me and you spoke, because I'm like, man, I do want to get like a helicopter pilot's license or something.
yeah,
Which is, I mean,
yeah,
this is why I'm all about telling people to like, dude, go talk to them, because like, why not? You are a part of a very small percentage of Americans
yeah,
that have signed your name on the dotted line.
yeah,
Take advantage of the benefits that are there for you.
yeah.
If you don't know what you want to do everything and whittle it down to what you like the most.
Yeah.
Because you can get free schooling
Yeah.
that they'll pay you to do.
Yep.
To be a plumber, to be an electrician, to be whatever it is
Yeah.
you want to do, especially like a skilled trade like that. Like, you can't. I hate hearing veterans bitch and whine about, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that, and I'm broke and I can't find work and shit like that. And
Well,
it's
you just gotta apply yourself.
put the effort
Like-
in, bro.
Like apply yourself. That's all you have to do. Like, my mind's twisted up. Like, you mentioned James or whoever. I have a horrible memory for names, just part of the TBI. Like like names before I was decent at, and names after, they're out the window. It's like I gotta meet this guy 5 times and have a beer with him before,
and
like
put his name in my phone.
Yeah.
I had to look at our contact again before you came through the door just to make sure I had your name correct in my head,
Yep.
because I am that bad with it.
Yep.
And
When I
God.
put your address into my phone, like under your contact, because I was like, I'm gonna fucking lose his address, but because like I don't want to go back through the text, so I put it in there. But then like when I went to like throw your address in my GPS, I just kind of like scrolled down until I saw a name that like wasn't like somebody who I've known for a long time. I'm like, is that him? Oh, that's him. Gotta be him. Click. Oh yeah, that conversation. Yep.
do you know how long it took for me to nail down Elena's name?
Oh, jeez.
Dude, Elena Bethune, she's amazing. I love her. She's with CRF. We've talked about her a fair amount in past episodes, but it took forever for me to 100% remember her name, and I had to say her name a million times, and I always feel bad because I'm like, am I just an idiot? Do I just not care? Like,
Yeah.
and I second guess myself, and it's like, no, I think I just hit my head too many fucking times,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I usually have my wife next to me.
Yep.
To be like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. Even people that you know for a while, you'll forget their name. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't think I forgot my brother's name yet, but
Or you'll tell them stories
yeah,
for the 5th time.
yeah, oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's like even sitting here now. I was like, did we talk over patellar tendinosis of the knee? Like, I'm not sure. like you just and I think that's we're a small percentage, but then when you get down to the guys who are like combat, it's even smaller percentage.
Yeah.
And then you get down to it, like not taking away from any single person. Like if you qualify for a VA benefit, state benefit, I don't care. Like go get it. Like I get it if you got millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Then it's not worth your time. I'd still tell you to do it because
Take that and help other vets.
The only way we stop making disabled veterans is if we stop sending people to war and we can downsize our military, right? Because even in a peacetime, like these combat units are going to have guys dying, getting maimed and wounded off of stupid shit or off of training. Like I remember doing a DZ, like a drop zone, detail, because I was injured at the end of my like time in Ranger Battalion. So they're like, "Oh, you're worthless. Go sit on a drop zone." So like if people need help, you can help them. And so like we're watching guys drop, and freaking somebody comes up to our van, like the nice military 15-passenger vans, and he's like, "There's like somebody stuck in a tree or something," and we're like, "Oh fuck, okay." So we take off in the van. This is just like a rudimentary Ranger day jump. Like I don't even know if they were wearing like rucks or not. Like it might have been a gearless jump. But we drive over there and here this dude is like strung up by the neck by a paracord.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like feet kind of off the ground but still on the ground, hanging from like kind of a tree but like still on the ground. Dead.
Oh no.
Yeah, so he
Damn.
hit, got knocked out. The wind wrapped the paracord around his throat, pulled him with the parachute over a tree, which kept the tension, and he was still out, dead.
Damn.
Yeah, so I mean,
completely dead. No resuscitate.
yeah, completely. Nope,
Damn.
nope. Like,
What a way to go,
Yeah.
man. That's sad.
yeah, but like, yeah, we still are killing guys and losing guys
In
just
training,
in training.
yeah.
And that wasn't even a hardcore training, nothing. So like first, everyone that's gonna frown on anyone using veteran benefits or getting VA disability, like one, check yourself.
Yeah.
Like just do that because
Nobody's done that shit in front of me.
yeah. You know what? Get off your fat ass and go run 12 miles with 45 pounds on your back.
No.
And then jump out of airplane, static line, and then we can talk. I don't know if I want to talk to you then, but still, you know, like it's just if you want to get rid of veterans and disabled stuff, like get rid of war, downsize the military.
Even if you do that, let's say you don't deploy and you've just been in garrison the entire time you've been in. There, you could break it down to like different branches as well. Because when I went up to the Air Force base up in Wyoming,
Cheyenne.
In Cheyenne, nobody knew what a brigade run was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like there's definitely different levels of like military suffering.
Yeah.
But to what I'm saying is, let's say you stay in garrison the entire time, your body's still going to get beat down. So like no matter what, there is no excuse to not find out what benefits are available to you.
Yeah.
And to anybody that's saying, well, you didn't do shit while you were in the military, it's like you still signed your name on the dotted line for however many years to say, I'm willing to be cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Whether or not you wanted to be or not,
Yeah.
you don't make that decision.
Yeah.
You
That's
signed your name on that dotted line.
Yep.
So like that in itself is not, that in itself is traumatizing. But like it legit is, you are signing your name on the dotted line and you have no control.
Yep.
You're giving it to the military.
Plus, you're getting 30-odd shots right on the way in.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
God knows what the vaccines that they're going to jam in your body are going to do.
You just basically signed yourself over to be cattle. Like,
You know, and
like
just
like
that in itself.
slaughter. Like, ugh.
So to hear people, I would love to hear somebody say some shit like that in front of me. Like, I don't know why you're trying. Like, you didn't do shit. Like, so what? This person still did what less than 2%, less than 1% of the United States citizens have the balls to do.
Yeah. And, I mean, there's...
Let me get some more of this, man. This shit was good.
There's guys that get that raw deal, too. Like okay, I get it. This is Ranger Battalion, but still, it's... So we did this thing, and, well, they still do it. It's called MLATs, Multi-Latitude Airborne Training or whatever. And basically, you take down airfields. So you jump in on an airfield and take it over, and then you launch like an operation, and then you collapse it down, and then you leave. All in...
That one's yours.
Oh,
I don't want your cooties.
I was looking at my mic. All in one period of darkness, right? So, like, in one night span, you're jumping in, you're taking down this airfield, you're running an operation out of the airfield. So, like, think about, like, Iranian hostage rescue, right? Like, you could blow up the defense, land your guys, land an assault force, go get the hostages, come back, and leave before Iran could, like, muster its troops to attack you. Like, that's kind of the purpose of it. Or, like, in bigger invasions like we did, I don't think it was an airfield takedown, but, like, in Iraq, we jumped. But there's reasons to do stuff like that. It can be used as, like, a forward staging. So, like, we could jump in, take it down, and then, like, the 82nd could roll up, and then, like, put in guns, and then you have, like, a strong point inside the enemy's perimeter,
right,
which is nice. Anyways, we're just doing like MLATs, and it's somewhat extraneous and stuff. And so my best friend at the time, him and I we're doing the jumps. He's in second squad, I'm in first squad, and he just starts to feel really bad, and doesn't feel that good, and so, you know, everyone's like, stick it out, man. Like, you don't want your first MLAT to just, you know, you don't want to be a sick call ranger in your first MLAT.
Oh, God.
And so he sticks it out. Like, he's doing good, but, like, he's just not feeling good. And so finally, first MLAT ends on Friday, and, like, so sick call's not open until Monday. So he goes into sick call Monday, and they do some tests, and they take some swabs and whatnot, and they give him some pills for, like, the symptoms, And I remember talking with him. I was doing like bus driver school at the time, which is retarded, but we have our own bus drivers.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. And so,
I was in a
like,
TRADOC unit for my
yeah.
first unit, so
yeah,
dude.
yeah. I actually got my CDL off of that one. So, but anyways, so I'm like going from like this hardcore training to like bus driver training, and I'm just like kind of still exhausted from the partying from the weekend, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna check in on him. And I told him I was gonna check in on him because like when I got back, but I was like, I'm not gonna check in yet. Like I got back early. I was like, I'm gonna take a nap. I'm exhausted. Like not from bus driver training, but just like the long weekend and the long 2 weeks of jumping. And so I pass out, and so I sleep way past when I was gonna check in on him. And all of a sudden I hear banging on his door. And I'm like waking up to this banging. At first I thought it was on mine, but his room was directly across from mine. So I go out there, and it's like, it's our medic, it's his room neighbor, and like one other guy. And so they're like banging on the door, and they finally like are working like on the vent on the door, breaking out panels, trying to get in because they're like, he's not responsive. And like they could kind of see that they thought he was in bed. They broke out some stuff, and like he's definitely in bed. And so then they're really worried. They're like, we need to call. Like,
We're banging and he's not hearing it.
yeah, an ambulance. Like he's non-responsive. They finally get like a hanger and pop the door, and the medic runs in and grabs him off the bed, and he's as stiff as a board.
Damn, dude.
Rigor mortis set in. So medics doing CPR, but it's too late. And like I'm just there for all of this. I remember like black spewel coming out of his mouth, and that turned my stomach because I like he used to dip, or he dipped at the time, and like I dipped some, and so
Did you dip after that?
almost no. Like,
The nicotine that I tried leaving, but it pulled me back in.
It was the deployments that did it. They kept you on that wagon. But like, yeah, that turned my stomach because I was like, oh, that's all like nicotine, like goof, like like I don't know where your mind goes in that moment, but turned out he had staph infection and pneumonia.
Damn.
Yeah, so I guess it's rare, but it's actually pretty common in like athletes. So like wrestlers will get it.
Oh, staph infection?
Yeah,
or
staph
both?
infection and pneumonia at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you're pushing your body, and then like with the strain, and then like depending on like food and stuff, and then sleep. And so we did this like hard 2 weeks of training, and then like we're getting screwed with a lot, which is putting you through a lot of stress, and like you just pick up the staph infection from the ground that you're going head over teal on, and pneumonia is floating around. So
I was a combatives instructor, and when I was going through level 3 combatives, they were so anal about cleaning everything, and like they did not play around with staph infection and shit like that. Like, cause you're rolling on the mat, you're sweaty, you don't know what Billy Bob got on the mat after doing whatever, and so dude, people were getting staph infection left and right because they'd get on the mat barefoot,
jeez.
And we'd have to be super anal about cleaning the mats and shit. But it's like you don't think about that stuff till you get it. Then after that, you're like, just cleaning and mopping and everything.
Jeez, yeah.
But that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
And that, so was this all before you deployed?
Yeah, all before he deployed.
No, before you deployed.
Yeah,
you
before
deployed
my first deployment, before his first deployment.
So before you had ever deployed, you had already seen two
no,
deceased.
The guy who died from the parachuting accident, he died when I was leaving. So that was after my second deployment. So that was that one. The only reason why that one messed with me a little bit was just like, it's that simple. You go on a jump, get knocked out, and
you never think that that's going to happen.
No, you don't.
You think you might break your legs at the worst.
Yeah, or like spine, it's going to fucking suck. But like, I don't know. Like, I've never looked at death that way. Like, for me, like, I don't know. Like, it was definitely a loss. Like, losing that guy was a loss. He wasn't in my unit, so I didn't know him. But like, I'd rather go out that way than like busting my spine and being paralyzed from like the waist down, like knock me out and hang me in a tree. I'll take that over like, and like, I don't know, like it does twist with you a little bit because you just never expect it. Like that's basically like the traffic ride home. Like
Did
no one
you
ever
deal?
thinks.
Did you deal with it in a specific way?
My buddies, I had a hard time dealing with. The guy who got knocked out, I'm sure it affected me because I'm telling that story right now.
Right.
But it wasn't as confrontational in my life. So my buddy, when he died, Regiment was actually good about this. For the most part, Regiment is assholes to lower enlisted, but
What?
it's just a meat grinder, and
Yeah.
but 70% of Delta Force is Regiment guys, so something works.
Right.
But so the very next day, and it's weird because they actually quarantined off our barracks. But I just went back to mine and slept anyways. But like, yeah, that night I got pretty drunk, and the next day was work. Went into work, didn't end up doing PT. They paired me up with a staff sergeant at the time.
Like someone to
And-
watch over you, kind of thing. Or?
No. Paired me up with a staff sergeant at the time, and yeah, I would say his name, but I think he's in the unit, so I won't disclose him. But
Right.
the reason why I'd say his name because he was he was one of the better Rangers I've ever met, and that's why he's in the unit, I guess. But
Fuck yeah.
but
Good for him, dude.
yeah. Same thing with when I went to second platoon, that platoon sergeant that put me in charge of the Afghanis, he went to the unit too. So all the guys that I liked went to the unit, and like all the guys I hated sucked. Like
Hey,
they didn't go anywhere.
good.
yeah. They got what was coming.
That might be
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
something. Like you got a good
got good taste.
hone on.
But like
on
they
good
all
guys.
liked me. They all liked me, and then and I did good for them, and I always did good.
Right.
But the guys who didn't like me, they just shit on you all day long. So like, no matter how good you do, you're not going to shine.
Nothing will be good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And most of those guys were shitbags, anyways. But they paired me up with this E6, and he was from a different platoon, but I kind of knew who he was. And they flew us out to Washington to meet my buddy's parents, and so they sent 2nd Ranger Battalion, Reverend there, I think that night, to tell his parents and try and console them. We flew in the next day, and then the following day we visited his family. And then I spent, altogether, I think I was out in Washington for 11 days. Just in civies, hanging out with this E6.
That's cool.
We had a gym we could go to, with the hotel, and I just spent time with his family, and then they finally flew the body in, and then I wasn't in the honor guard or part of the whatever. I sat with the family, but they did it really well. They took care of him that way.
That's good.
But
I'm sorry that happened, dude. That sucks.
no, but it just tweaks your life. Actually, there's other people that have died in combat, but I wear his KIA bracelet, and not because he died in combat, but because why should his life be any less?
Yeah.
Right?
No, I completely agree.
He didn't deploy, he didn't get a CIB, he just put his all into what he believed in, into serving his country, into standing beside you. He rolled the bad card.
Yeah.
He didn't get to go on a deployment. He didn't happen to get shot or blown up. He happened to get something crazy. We weren't good enough to catch
Bad
it.
circumstances.
Yeah, bad
just
circumstances.
Stacking on top
Not
of each
making
other.
bad decisions.
Yeah.
Well, you could argue that going into Ranger Battalion is a bad
Yeah.
decision, but you know what I mean.
A lot of people might argue that.
he had all good intentions, right? And
Doing everything right.
and then he ends up dead. And I'm happy Ranger Battalion handled it that way. But so many people, when they look at veteran benefits and shit, and obviously he didn't get any. His family got a burial and
SGLI.
if he got a life insurance, and that's it, But so many people are I didn't deploy, I didn't do what he did, I don't deserve that. And it's
Yeah.
if my buddy would have lived, but he was just messed up, did he not
Yeah.
Would he not deserve it?
Do you think that the military glorifies the warrior, but after the soldier gets out, they not demonize, but kind of downplay the soldier in general?
Well, I mean, so like, what's the mission of the military? The mission of the military is to fight war, right? Like, be ready for and to take it to the enemy. Like, that's the pure mission. Like that. Like, the number one line is
What makes the green grass grow?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You know what? Everybody knows
yeah,
what makes the green grass grow. That in itself should tell you what the military's there to do.
That's the number one thing. So the military, sure, maybe to keep readiness might do something with mental health eventually as it becomes more and more of an issue. But like, its number one thing is to make sure its guys are trained and ready and mentally there to go take it to the enemy. And if there is something that's going to hurt you down the road, but makes you more combat effective right now, almost going back to like the steroids conversation, almost in the military's perspective, like, you should do it. Like, that's kind of their perspective. Like, we need the sharpest tool in the box. We don't care if we sharpen it 100 times and it get worn down. Like, then we just get a new tool.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good analogy.
Like, they sharpen you till you're done, and then they throw you away. And they're getting better at it. And technically, the VA is supposed to be for the veteran. That's the mission of the VA. What's the secretary of the VA's name? Is it Doug Collins?
Doug Collins,
yeah. So, like, isn't that what he's saying now? He's like, well, I want to take us back to our mission being for the veteran. And these are benefits for the veteran, right? Like, if you qualify, get the benefits that you qualify for. And that's what the VA should be for. But, Doug, I got to tell you, you're a long ways off. Because if you're for the veteran, then why do you make it so hard for us to get our benefits? Why do you make it so hard for us to understand what the VA is?
Or make it shameful to ask for it?
Yeah, and part of that shame does come out of the military, but why aren't you doing something about that? If your mission, like, there's a statistic and a scientific, or like a VA article, so it's like, the VA is spending over $1.5 billion a year extra on PTSD and TBI that was untreated in the military. Why is that?
Yeah.
Like,
Think there's anything we could do?
I mean, Doug Collins should sit down with Pete Hegseth, right? Isn't he in charge of DOD or like the military?
He's the Secretary of Defense. I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, with Hegseth then. Yep. Yeah. He should sit down with him and say, look, like, you're fucking people up. And I get it. Your mission is war. But, like, I got to deal with them when they get out. So how do we like, get to the fucked up people sooner? I get it. You got to do your training. But, like, how do we deal with the fucked up people sooner? Because there's all kinds of medical evidence that the best time to, like, decrease the effects of PTSD is right after the trauma. If you start to do the therapy, if you start to get the treatment right after the trauma. I mean, it's the same thing with, like, any injury. TBI is a big one. If you can deal with TBI, like, right after the trauma, then you can limit the effects down the road. If you can start to get treatment, understand what it is right after the trauma, then down the road, maybe you're not as fucked up. Then maybe the VA is not spending, and I'd wager it's not $1.5 billion, because I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that are just denying it and messing up their life.
Or don't even know that they've received a TBI. Like, I had no idea till I had actually gotten my claim finished and gone through the process of actually talking to people and getting scans and all that. Like, it's a lot of people don't understand what can cause a TBI. Have you ever got knocked out? How long were you knocked out? Like, what has happened to you to where you've received some level of head trauma? Like, that's stuff you really need to think about. And you're going to downplay whatever you've gone through no matter what. Like, you got to go find this stuff out. And the only way you can do that is going to the VA.
Yeah, and I'd say for the for TBI, anyone that's listening, a really good thing for you to go to if you think you have a TBI is, well, it's one. There's many other, but the Marcus Institute is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I got the VA to send me to the Marcus Institute. But if you were Special Operations or Marine Corps, they have like funding for guys to go there. I think they have 3 or 4 locations across the nation. There's one in Denver. And so you'd go there for a TBI evaluation. And then based off your evaluation, you could do I think it's a 2 or 3 week course. I think it's a 3-week course to help you deal with like your trauma and your concussions. And I did it. It was pretty good. It's kind of funny, like you learn stuff about TBI and PTSD. Like by the time I went there, I already had like a lot of the mechanisms kind of like somewhat put into place that they talk about, which is great. But like you learn a lot of stuff. However, I think the best part was the camaraderie with the guys. They put you up in a house in Denver at least, and it's all combat veterans with TBIs that have crazy war stories, and you're just like,
fuck yeah.
yeah. But like, you know, the whole time you're like half doubting it, and like
doubting yourself. Or
yeah,
doubting
or like this isn't as bad as I think it is, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And then you see some of the guys there that are like more messed up than you, or at least that's your perception. But then like I put in the claim for TBI because I'm like, fuck it, if I got it, I'm gonna get it connected, like whatever
Right.
percentage. And then the connection comes back, and not only do I get 70% for TBI, I got 30% for vertigo, which I didn't even file on. Connected at TBI. I was like, oh yeah, they did send me in for like an eye examination, but like I didn't think I had vertigo. Like,
Right.
so we're always like underestimating ourselves.
Downplaying your own issues.
Yep, downplaying our own issues.
It's not your job. It's
Yep.
the
and it's that overlapping, just repetitive thing that you just gotta tell somebody like, man, even if it's not bad now, down the road,
20
years, and if it gets
never know,
worse,
dude.
you don't want to fight that fight. You don't want to fight that fight with the VA. You don't want to be 20 years out from the VA, 30 years out from your time in service, and trying to connect shit, because they're not gonna like it. I mean, you can connect it, but they're not gonna like it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's like, I mean, there's not a statute of limitations or whatever, like that phrase is, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Statute of limitations. Like the VA is kind of like that though. Like if you're 30 years out from your time in service and you're like, I got PTSD,
Right.
they're gonna be like, from the military? Really?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, how
like-
many World War II or Vietnam vets downplay their own stuff and, you know, oh, well, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I only saw like 5 of my buddies, you know,
Yeah.
over there and over, you know, like, and to them, it's like nothing. But you're like, no, dude, that's not good. That
Yeah.
might be the cause of your other issues.
Yeah. That might be the reason why you're
Yeah.
in here at the VFW drinking every day. Like,
Exactly. Dude, amazing point. I had my father-in-law. He was in the Navy. This dude's like 6'9", and just trying to get him to go to the VA was like pulling teeth. But he finally went, and they denied his claim for back pain and all his issues with his back. And I think they got him to sign something right before he got out saying that he wasn't going to claim back issues or something. Like it was something where it's like, dude, what the fuck? What?
Is that legal?
Because the bunks were his exact height.
Oh.
And he had to go through the
Huh.
bulkheads and all that on the ships he was on.
Wow.
And this dude's fucking giant. But it caused him back issues, and he ended up getting out because of back issues. And the doctors saying, "Oh yeah, he has back issues because of his it's service connected." And I don't know what we're fighting it, and we're getting them letters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, some guys will run into that and they'll just give up right away.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm
another
glad
thing.
that there's guys like you.
That's another thing. Veterans are always like, one, we're always like, oh, I don't qualify for that, or like, I don't deserve that, or whatever. It's like, one, fuck you. It's not a deserve.
Right.
It's if you got it, then it is yours.
It applies to you.
It applies to you. Yeah, yeah. This isn't like a I deserve this. It's like a you have it, therefore you get this. I get it. You got to request it, but that's only because they're being dicks. Other than that,
Which they have to, because again, there's gonna be shitbags.
Yeah, there's gonna be shitbags. But if you have it, then go get it connected. Like, don't be like this. I don't deserve it.
Right.
And then like, if you get denied, then most veterans are like, they're saying I'm lying, and I don't want the government after me. Or like, well, I didn't think I had it in the beginning. Apparently, I don't have it. It's like, or just hear me out. This is a legal system, and maybe there was something wrong with your claim. Oh, look at that paper like you were talking about before. The paper that says what you're connected for, or if you got denied, and like what you could have got at these different levels, or if you got denied, why you got denied.
Yeah.
You know, I had
You
a
didn't
claim,
hit these check marks.
I had a claim for TBI and some other injuries or disabilities that I connected 21 or whatever. It pushed me to 100%, but it was like 13 different connections. And so I filed it, and like 2 weeks later I heard back on it.
Same.
And here I got denied. And I'm like, I did everything right with this claim. I knew enough this time. And so I did a combat claim because like a lot of the TBIs I had were like fast roping in country. And like I started to get headaches in country, so whatever, and like it's all combat, and I have a combat badge, so like that's like God wrote it down in my medical history that this happened.
Right.
So I put in the sworn statements and everything, and I'm like, this is good. They denied it, and I'm like, And so I'm talking to my VSO at the time, and he's all scared. He's like, hey man, yeah, this really isn't good. They denied all your claims. And I was like, okay. I was like, why? He's like, well, man, it's not good. Like, they caught you lying. And I was like, caught me lying? It's like, yeah, they pulled your military records and found your 2014 deployment post-deployment health questionnaire. And they cited that you said that you weren't around any explosions or gunfights or any combat of any sort. And I'm like, oh, really? I was like, okay, I'm going to file a supplemental claim. Give me a day or two. Let me get the sworn statements written up, and I'll give them back to you. He's like, well, I don't know if you want to, like, poke the bear.
No,
And
I'll
I was
poke
like,
the bear.
I'm not poking the bear. I'm kicking the bear off this
I'm gonna
cliff.
fuck the bear.
So basically, yeah. Do you know why soldiers that intend to be in combat say that they weren't around combat? It's because if you do, then they're gonna send you to a shrink, which really isn't a bad thing, right? Because if we can identify the TBI, the PTSD,
Yes,
right?
I was just about to say that.
But the way the military works, this is like the difference between the VA and the Army. Is like the Army's like, well, we can't have unstable assholes, so like get him to the shrink if he's been to war to make sure he's okay. But the Army's also like, well, if there's something wrong with you, then we're gonna kick you.
Yeah.
You know, so especially in a Ranger battalion, but even in like standard infantry, they don't want to talk about that shit because there's gonna be that scale, and eventually, I was talking to a guy who's a combat engineer in the Guard, but he did a lot of deployments, a little bit older than me, and like, you can get your VA connected, like your VA disability connected in the Guard before you even get out. So another thing, if you're in the Guard or Reserve, file an intent to file, because you can go get those injuries connected. And actually, a lot of times people's disability pay will be more than what they make for their Guard weekend.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean,
I got a couple buddies in the Guard.
Yeah.
Like to hear that.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different with that. It's like Title 10 and stuff. So you just gotta be aware of when you can file on something and when you can't. But a lot of times you can.
Right.
Like even if you get in a car accident driving to a Guard weekend, you can get that connected. But either way, back to the story. So like, I'm the VA's like trying to tell me all this combat shit didn't happen, even though
you filled out a
yeah,
questionnaire.
according to their laws, what I said is true. And then like the post-deployment health questionnaire is saying that it didn't happen. And so I filed a supplemental claim, and I just had I had my one sworn statement, and it was basically like, fuck you. I went in, got a bunch of citations from their documents saying this is a combat claim, and I said, why do you think I might have filled out this post-deployment health questionnaire this way? Oh, how about I was in a Ranger battalion? How about if you had PTSD in a Ranger battalion, you couldn't be in that Ranger battalion, they'd kick you out. Like, how about this? How about that? And then,
So you lied?
and then I got three, four sworn statements from other Rangers and a team leader who were all like, yeah, that's just common pause in Ranger battalion. Like, nobody is going to
That's
fill that
good.
shit out. Like, if you fill that out, then everyone has to wait around, and we can't, like, get released and, like, go see our families. Like, the way we come back, it's like we leave Afghanistan, boom, we're in Savannah, Georgia. 4 hours later, we're out on the streets getting blackout drunk in downtown Savannah, Georgia. You know,
Right.
like that's how like regiment did it when I was there. You know, I mean, the one time, I think my first deployment, we got released at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you guys aren't
And-
allowed to party in Columbus, Georgia.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you want to party in Columbus, Georgia. Shit.
No.
Um,
No.
But anyways, I filed that, which was basically like a fuck you, and here's other people saying this happens, and this is why. And then all of a sudden, I went to all my C&P evaluations, and everything got connected and more.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that.
So veterans just, veterans just give up. And again, it's like you had all this drive going in. Why the fuck are you giving up on yourself? Like, yeah, it's not a pretty system. It's not a fun system. It's a boring system. It's a fucked up system. It's designed to defeat you. But like
yeah.
the military is designed to grind you down. When did that switch flip? When did you lose your drive? Like I don't get it.
If you could tell your younger self right after getting out of the military one thing, what would it be? You just got out. You just got your DD 214.
Well, fuck. I mean, if I just got my DD 214, I'd probably tell him to file an intent to file. And then he'd ask me why, and then I could tell him more. But but like, because I only filed on those four things, right? That got me 10%, 10%, 10%. And that ended up being 40% because of a bilateral fracture between my wrist and my shoulder. But so if you have like two arms or two legs that have disabilities on them, they're like everything's calculated the same thing for the percentage of the pie. But there's actually something called a bilateral factor that actually tags on a percentage more. So, like one and whatever, the percentage, say it was just like a 10% left and 10% right, then it wouldn't be 19%. It'd be like 20 or 22. And so 4 10s doesn't equal 40, it equals 30. Because it's like 34 or whatever, but the bilateral factor pushed me over to 35, which rounded up to 40, where I went to hit 40%. But yeah, I would have, I was only at 40%, and it's like there's so much more I could connect it. But I don't know. I mean,
any advice that you would give yourself aside from make sure you do an intent to file, start your benefits, things like that? What advice would you give yourself?
Well, I mean, use voc rehab. It's there. It would have been good. I don't know. I mean, like, educate yourself. It's
Benefits are there for you.
Yeah, the benefits are there for you. Like, for some soldiers and some veterans, you do your time, and maybe it's not a crazy Ranger battalion experience, right? Maybe it's very simple. You do your basic, it's a mixed gender basic, and so things are simple. There's not a lot of hazing. Yeah, maybe there's some cross pollination there, but like, like
Between the soldiers
yeah,
or the drill
Yeah,
sergeants.
I mean, you take your pick on that military
Yeah.
story. Why is the grass white? No.
Oh God.
So I mean, like maybe for some soldiers, like it is pretty GI, just standard, like nothing's going on, and like maybe all you do is get out with like a tinnitus claim or a sore wrist, like get that connected. Like, and I'm not downplaying them, right? Like, I get it. For some people, that's all it is. The military, like, it was an interesting trip. Like, basic was hard. Like,
Airborne, you could literally die.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
first jump.
yep,
Like,
yep,
it's intense just by itself.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like,
we're definitely not downplaying it, but I understand where you're coming from.
But like, there are those people that go through and, hey, get your connection. It's part of your contract. I'm probably the large percentage of veterans, and like most of us don't think we are one, but like, well, were you an accountant who had an easy basic, never had anything injured, go on and on for like why
Right.
you don't qualify for these benefits? Like, are you that, or are you the other part of the pie where you fall somewhere in between that and like, I don't know, Marcus Luttrell or some shit like
Right.
that, right? Like, like literally your stomach is fucked up from drinking the water in Afghanistan. Like, then probably has bad TBI and PTSD,
Yeah.
like, are you on the nothing side or are you more on that spectrum, right? And probably most of us veterans are somewhere on that spectrum where it's like, like my buddy Shetner, like, you don't die in combat all the times. Like, means you don't get injured in combat all the time. Like, just because you got injured on the base doesn't mean you can't get connected. It doesn't mean you can't get your benefits. Like, you're
Right.
injured, you're injured. Like, technically, if you're playing pickup soccer, right? If you're playing pickup soccer while you're on duty and you break your ankle, you can get your ankle pain or whatever that you might have from the broken ankle connected. Why is that? Because you're technically considered on the job 24/7. So you broke your ankle on the job. Like, that's pretty much how the rules read, and they Congress wrote it that way. Somebody wrote it that way for a
Good.
reason. It's written that way for a reason, because they want you to have access to these benefits because you served, and they know the amount of risk that you take, right? Like, you have these benefits, and I see them as a minimum, right?
Yep.
Like, everyone's like, oh, I don't qualify for that, or like, I didn't break my ankle on a run or a ruck. I broke my ankle playing soccer on my own time. It's like, well, yeah, but like, these benefits are minimums. They're a minimum, like, what happens, like, you're at 100%, okay? Outside of maybe qualifying for like SMCL or something like that, like if you ever end up with PTSD really bad or TBI really bad, what else can you get for an increase in pay or benefits?
Right.
You can't. I mean, if you get really bad, you can qualify for some SMCs, but they're really hard, and you have to be really fucked up, like debilitated. I mean, you can potentially qualify for like caregivers support from the VHA.
But how
Right.
much do you hear about any of that stuff? The stuff
Oh.
that you're just talking about. Like, I had never heard about it till I spoke to you.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm like, my main thing is making sure that the information's out there for
Yeah.
the people that it does affect, for the people like you're talking about that,
Yeah.
have all sorts of issues that they're going through,
Yeah.
but have no idea that these are available to
Oh
them.
yeah, yeah. It's all
Yeah.
available. No, nobody talks about it. I mean, I think it comes down to like gatekeepers, right? Like, there's stigmas and reasons why we don't get things connected when we're in, and that relates back to, well, I might lose my job, or I
Not
don't
get a job.
Yeah, or I don't want to be a sick call ranger, like when we're in. And yeah, actually, a lot of veterans I talk with, they're like, well, I don't want to get connected for mental health because then, like, I'm worried about guns, right? Like, that's a big thing in a lot of veterans' minds.
Going through police academy, that was the biggest fear for almost all the veterans that were there. I hadn't even done my PTSD claim yet, specifically because of that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, what if I want to be a cop? And then
Yep.
as I'm going through police academy and applying for police departments, they're like, oh, well, they can't ask you that stuff. Guess what they asked me the first 5 minutes I was there? And the other dude that was 100% P&T, who had PTSD and all that, guess where he got a job at? Fucking nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all they kept
Yep.
telling us the whole fucking time. Sorry, I'm like, I'll get all hyped up all this. Like, it pissed me off because I'm like,
Yep.
I'm angry and sad for this dude because it's like they're telling us one thing and they're doing another.
Yeah.
And every police department that I applied for asked the exact same question. Like, okay, are you disability service connected through the military? Okay, what's it for? It's like, well, I was told that you guys, well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with this. I just need to know if you have the info. Like, why are you asking? So, but like, imagine if Joe Blow didn't answer the
Yeah.
questions correctly.
Yeah.
What happens to him? So, like,
Yeah.
I feel you on that,
Yeah.
dude. Big time.
Yeah. So, guys, yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of stigma behind it, too. And, like, things are becoming better, you know? Like, I did the CIT training with Larimer Police Department.
Mm.
I was talking with some of those guys, and they're, like, if you do have, say, PTSD or TBI connected, it's not a disqualification. Like,
Nice.
if it's bad, probably.
Right, yeah.
Right. They can't bring you on. But, like, whatever. I'm sure even at 70%. And I got a buddy who was in BAT with me. And when he got out, I think he got 70% for PTSD. And he's a police officer in Louisiana right now.
Nice.
You know? So they
Good for him.
took him at 70%. So,
That's impressive.
yeah, I don't know if he lied.
Yeah, right. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Eyes twitching and
Yeah.
shit.
But like,
I can be in crowds.
I think he said they said he failed the polygraph, but he still got in. So
For anybody that's looking to apply for a police department or anything like that, the polygraph is like they want you to be consistent.
yeah,
Don't stress. I'm just saying don't stress because
yeah,
I've done so much stupid shit in my life
I
and
know.
I passed the polygraph test.
yeah. I take
That should
some
tell you a
Slink.
lot.
Take some Slink.
Is there anything you want to shout out or, shine some light on before we dip out? We're coming up on 3 hours and 6 minutes.
I mean,
3 hours and 3 minutes.
so I mean, I plan to have a book done by the end of the summer.
Nice.
So eventually I'll get that into circulation, and I'll just go more into, some of the stuff I'm talking about. And, the first part will be just kind of about dispelling the stigma. But then the second part is just like informing veterans, because like you don't need to know what the law is, because that's where a lot of veterans like fall off, right? It's like, I can't learn all this legal shit. I can't be a doctor and a lawyer at the same fucking time to do my VA claim, right? It's not so much making you a legal professional or a doctor, but it's like, it's giving you the high valued information specific to the VA that might be relevant to who you are, letting you know what's out there. And then from there, you have actionable intelligence. And if you apply yourself, you can probably bring your claim to a really good spot,
Right.
Sometimes you get into hiccups. Sometimes guys need to use lawyers. Another shout out I'd say is for any veteran out there like looking to do a VA claim, there are some really scammy companies out there.
Yeah.
So watch out for them. The companies that are not lawyers. Lawyers can be scammy a little bit too, but
What?
but like at least they can file your claim for you or whatnot. But like there's these advising companies. Some
Yeah.
of them are good, some of them are bad.
They just
you know?
want to cut of your back pay,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, that's all. I heard of one company. I think it's like got gold in the word, but like they sounded okay. I don't know. I'm not trying to promo them. I don't know their name, but it sounded like they only wanted like $1,500 for your claim. So that didn't seem horrible.
Right.
But I've
Especially
never
if you're
used
getting
them.
like 15 grand
Yeah,
back.
exactly. Yeah. So if they can advise you sort of like I could or something like that, then like,
Right?
but
You got guys like yourself and me that are
Yeah.
like, dude, I don't want any of your money.
yeah, exactly.
Tell other vets about me. Tell other vets about
Yeah.
whatever it is
Like-
I'm telling you. Like,
like,
I don't want your money. I just want you to
contact-
know this.
Contact Combat Recovery Foundation,
Yep.
and we'll get a hold of you if you need help with veteran benefits, whether that's VHA, VBA, or cemetery, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing. If anybody knows somebody who you think I could get on their podcast and could inform their viewers, and that would be helpful, then get in contact with us. I think that's a
Oh, dude, I got
Good
a
idea,
couple people
yeah.
I can send your way.
okay. Yeah,
Send some
that'd be
info.
good. Because I mean, yeah, we talked about war stories and different things. We didn't even get into like combat or anything like that. but,
Right.
actually, I'll tell you a funny one before we wrap up. We'll end on this.
Right,
Okay,
right. There
okay.
you go.
So my first deployment, we're clearing this compound and we're going through this place, and it's like, I don't know, you're like, when you're clearing, you're paying attention to like, do I need to shoot somebody? Where's my like red space and dead space? And you're not really paying attention to like, what is this room? But it's going through your mind. So it's like, okay, we're in this like kitchen like room. And so my team's in there, and so as we're clearing through, 1 and 2 man is in front of me. I'm the 3 man. The 4 man is like behind me. And so like we're getting stacked up on this door, and the 4 man never shows up. So I don't feel him. Usually it's like a light touch, and then it's like push and go.
Right.
And so I like can do like a little look back, and I'm like, I can throw off my security because like the 1 and 2 man got the doors. So I'm like, fuck, where'd 4 man go? He's not there in the room. Like, there's no reason he should have ran out of the room the wrong way. Like, he should have stacked with us.
I'm out.
So finally, I'm like, hey, and we're wearing Peltors, so you can kind of hear people talk.
Ooh.
But I didn't want to like squeeze or hit my team leader, because then he would have been like, oh, let's go. So I'm like, hey, and he's like, the fuck, shut up. I'm like, we're missing 4 man, and he's like, the fuck you mean? And I'm like, he's not with us. And so he like frustratedly like turns around and is looking, where the fuck did he go? So like, as the 1 man holds the security on the door, my team leader and I start sweeping through the room. And like, as we get towards the center of the room, kind of the further side from that door we were on, there's like just this like black spot on the floor. And we're like,
God.
we're like, I don't know where he went. So we're like looking at this black spot. We're turning on our IR lights, and we're finally like, is this a hole? And so like, finally he flips on his white light. And so, no, it's not as bad as you think. He finally flips on his white light, and like, oh yeah, I don't know, there might be movement, but it's like really smoky. And so finally we're like, hey, you down there? And he's like, what? Yeah, I'm down here. And so we end up pulling out the 4 man and stacking back up. And like, when we got back from that op, we were talking with him. He's like, dude, when I fell in that hole, and what it was it was the burn pit, like the stove area
Okay.
for the house. Yeah, it wasn't the shitter or something like
Dude,
that.
that's
Oh.
immediately where my mind
yeah,
went.
that would have
like,
been bad. No, but it was for some reason they had this really deep like fireplace. And so he didn't see it because it's a dark spot on the floor at night with night vision. And so he was like, dude, when I fell in that fucking hole, all the ash blew up and light went to 0.
So you couldn't
he's
see
like,
anything.
he's like, 1 second I'm stepping, and the next second, thud. Like just a big thud. He's like, I thought I was dead.
Because
like,
you couldn't see anything.
Yeah, just complete black. Like there was
God.
this hard hit and black, and that's it. Like he couldn't even see the nods lights in front of him, just how dark it was. he was like,
God,
I
is
thought
that
it was,
you?
yeah, I thought I was dead for like a good 30 seconds. Like,
I'm
shit.
so glad it was that, and not the shitter. That's immediately where my mind went.
Oh no. Okay, last story. Same team leader.
Oh, dude, we're not
just
in a
closing
rush.
out. We're closing out. So same team leader. We're clearing first deployment, and so we're just clearing through. I forget what the rooms were like, but I'm like on his left. He's on my right. We're just flowing through the room, and like the Haji rooms. I don't know if you ever like cleared them or anything like that, but like they always hang like shit on the walls. So just
Right.
like rugs and whatnot, and so
Blankets, shit like that.
so because they use the blankets and the rugs as like a door, you never know if you're like passing a door.
Right.
So you're always like putting your elbow or your shoulder into kind of the wall. You're not supposed to hug walls because
Yeah.
bullets follow them, but at the same time, like you don't
And you
want
don't want to press on shit either.
yeah, not too much, but like you're kind of checking as you go, and so my team leader's going. And I'm kind of getting to the end of like my wall, and then like I kind of hear commotion behind me, kind of like where my team leader's at. I'm like, the fuck was that? So like I just glance back, and here I see some guy sitting on my team leader's shoulders, and I'm like,
Like a kid on his dad's
no,
shoulders.
like a full size Afghani, because they're not quite like your size, you know.
Right.
But like full size Afghani sitting on my team leader's shoulders, and my team leader's like, I don't know, 6'4", and so like,
Oh my
I'm just like, the fuck is that? And next thing I know, he rips the guy off, pulls out his pistol, puts like 4 rounds into him. And then, like, keeps flowing, and then, like, our follow guy puts more rounds into him. And, like, later I talk to the team leader. And I'm like, what the fuck? How did you end up with, like...
How did he get up there?
Yeah, so here's what happened. Like, the infrastructure in Afghanistan's so fucked up, like, especially when you get outside the city, which we were in the mountains, they're making it out of stucco and shit. So, like, houses, there's no 90-degree turns and shit like that. Straight lines don't exist. And so... either they built in later or like when they made it, they made like a dugout for a bed at like
Like a bunk bed.
a bunk
kinda,
bed kind of
yeah.
thing, just in the wall, just like shoulder height. And so like when we're like flowing through this room, this guy kind of like heard us, like was like, ugh, I wonder what that is, but didn't even make any noise. Like, yeah, I wonder what that is, and like swung out of bed to jump onto the floor, landed on his shoulders. Like,
That's hilarious.
oh. Yeah, good times and bad times over there, but crazy ass shit.
I'm really glad you came out here, man.
Oh yeah,
It's meeting other people that are kind of on the same page of, you know, this is information that needs to get out to more people,
Yeah.
and there's no reason to gatekeep, and
oh yeah, yeah,
there's no reason that people shouldn't know what benefits are available to them, whether or not they're going for claims or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's info they need to know.
yeah, and really like where they stand
Yeah.
and what it all means, because it's like you get this benefit, but what's that benefit mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you get Champ VA. What
Yeah.
does Champ VA mean? Like,
You can get DV plates. You can get
Yeah.
fucking lifetime fishing
Yeah.
license. You can get, you know, there's a bunch of stuff you can get that people have no idea about. And
yeah,
it's people like yourself that give me a little bit more motivation on continuing to do what I'm doing
yeah,
and, you know, try and scream it from the mountaintops.
yeah.
So I appreciate it.
That's
man.
what I do. You know, when I went to that CIT training, I was like, every veteran that like raised their hand when Marshall did his thing.
Right.
Later on, I was like, "Oh, you're a veteran? What's your rating?"
Right,
like,
right.
like I jumped straight to it because I'm like, "Dude,
How
you're."
can I help you?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not here for the money. I'm here to
Right.
make your life better because I don't want you to be a part of that 22 or that 48 or whatever the number is of
Right.
suicides, right? And like, oh yeah, you might be good today and you might be a cop or whatever, but like the majority of us, we're just bottling all that shit up in one way or another. And like when push comes to shove, then you throw financial issues into the picture and all the other things that like your benefits can somewhat help you with. And now you got a lot of issues. Not only do you got financial issues and health issues and whatnot, now you got these mental issues you've been bottling up. So if you can alleviate some of those other fucking issues,
Get some weight off your shoulders.
yeah, get some weight off your shoulders, a little room to breathe, then maybe you're not gonna pop yourself. Like,
No, I completely agree.
yeah,
And I'm excited for you to come out with your book, man.
yeah.
Just so that way I got another excuse for you to come out here, man.
Come back in. Anyways,
Seriously.
Cameo
Yeah.
for my book. Link in the description.
Yeah, right. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I'm doing a book is people don't really appreciate anything. Like, I'm going to do a book. I'll probably launch it on Amazon. Because if I just do, like, a PDF book and be like, oh, it's free to everybody.
Right.
I'm not trying to gatekeep with the book. But, like, if you don't get, like, $8 or something to throw at a book, then
Right.
then you're not going to apply yourself, number one. But two, like, we put value on things. Like, from my business perspective, all the scientific data goes, we put value on stuff that has a price. If you say, I'll give you a free book that magically can get you benefits and money,
Then it's
somebody's
not
like-
going to have too much
some-
meaning to it.
yeah, somebody's like, yeah, the free magic book. Okay. But if you're like, hey, here's some tidbits. If you want more, get my book. It's whatever. Then
Yeah.
somebody's like, oh, this book is like $10. It must have relevance. It's weird how we are. It's the
Yeah.
the reason why we don't file disability claims. Like, you know?
I think that's just Americans in general. but
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
We're definitely on the same page with that, dude. Thanks for coming out, man.
Yeah.
I
thanks for
really
having me.
appreciate it.
I
I
appreciate
look
it.
forward to having you out here again.
Yeah, I'll have to hear more of your story sometime. I got to talk about mine.
Dude, I'm waiting for one of my other the other veteran podcasters that I was in the Veterans Life magazine with. We're gonna be hopping on each other's podcasts, so then maybe
nice.
I'll have a chance to talk about my stuff.
Nice.
So I'm
Good.
looking forward to that.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to listen to that one. Thank you.
All right, take care.